Hey guys, and welcome back to the Peteytown Piranhas, a college football 26 team builder dynasty. In this episode, we're going to be going through year 15 of the program, and it has a chance to be a very historical one as we try to go where no college football team has gone before at any level, as we're trying to win our 6th consecutive national championship, and head coach Petey Previte is trying to win his 8th national championship, trying to surpass Nick Saban's 7. So we have a lot going on this year, and we're going to dive into it with going through the schedule. Then we are going to look at the team, and then finally going to look at the recruiting board that we have initially, and then we'll hop into the first game. We're going to start this year off with a rivalry game against Pitt, and a ranked game at that. And then we're going to travel to Arizona State for a little out-of-conference action. Then we'll have an early bye week, then step into Big Ten play against Illinois and USC. Then we're going to face old nemesis Texas, and then we're going to get back into conference play against UCLA, following that with Minnesota, Maryland, at Oregon, at Penn State, and at Notre Dame in a brutal road stretch that will really test our mettle. And then we're going to close the season against Michigan State. The Piranhas come into this season ranked number 1 in the country with 99s across the board in their team overall and offense and defense, and we're also led by 4 99 overall players with quarterback Greg Proctor, guard Trevin Fouts, free safety Kai Hamrick, and cornerback Devin Odrick. Looking at our offense this year, of course, we're going to be led by quarterback Greg Proctor, and then in the backfield with him will be Javier Culp, and Lee Prince will come in for power back situations. And then at fullback will be Daniel Moma. At wide receiver, you got Emmanuel Sambrelo, Salisi Tavasu, and Roland Crouch as the main trio, with Sam Manupuna coming in for different situations. And then at tight end, you got John Mackey Award winner Zay Garvin, and Stephen Bakhtiari will be out there in 2 tight end sets. And then on the offensive line from left to right, you got Dexter Eisen. Then you got, of course, Trevin Fouts coming back from injury. Then Raleek Thompson will be the man in the middle. At right guard will be Kevin Miner, and then at right tackle will be Ramon De La Rosa. And the unique thing about this line is that we got returning guys and guys who had to fill in for injuries last year, and then, of course, Trevin has to come back from injury. But really unique group where they're talented and have some experience on their resumes, so really looking forward to seeing what they can do. On the defensive side of the ball, coming off the edge will be Ezekiel Bird and the returning guy Tremaine Wolf. And then also returning is our top 4 defensive tackles from last year with Chip Genis, Nick Warrior, Casey O'Neill, and in rushing situations, Henry Carden. And then for the linebackers, you're going to have Junior Nauta. In the middle is going to be returning guy Warren Newcomb, and Kane McCarthy will be out there for sub-linebacker situations. So looking forward to seeing what this duo can do. And then on the other outside linebacker will be George Boozer. And then for the cornerbacks, very, very excited about these guys with Devin Odrick, Zach Ball, and Josh Linder. Just an amazing trio at the top here. And then for free safety is going to be Kai Hamrick. And then in the strong safety, we're going to have Caesar Mingo coming over from a free safety spot to fill this role. And Jamison Addison will be out there for 3-3-5 sets. And then at kicker will be Frank Webb, who's returning for his junior year. And at punter will be freshman Warren Woods. For the initial recruiting board, we have 5 gems we're looking at here, with free safety Rocky Long headlining as a 5-star. He's got 91 speed and acceleration. And then Trent Blanco is another 5-star. He's got 87 speed and 88 acceleration as an elusive bruiser. And then we got 2 wide receivers with Pat Gainwell, who's a speedster, and Kevin Shakir, who's a route artist. So different kind of archetypes and skill sets that they're bringing to the table. Then right guard Kari Gentile, and he's got some very good base things right now in the 80s there. Then a few other standouts is Nick Melendez, a pocket passing QB with 93 throw power, and he's also got 83 speed, which is intriguing. Then we got a few cornerbacks here who are all very athletic, so want to see if we can get them with Isaac Priestley, Marquise Naylor, and Darren Lampman. And then looking at some other intriguing guys, good athleticism here for Jermichael Heggie. And then another free safety trying to fill out a board here, and he's got Platinum Robber, so he would really bring something there, and a couple of safeties here that would be really exciting for us. And then those are the main standouts of this class so far, just trying to fill out some other things here with other guys. Heading into the first week of the season, nobody's locked us out yet, so that's very nice, but the thing I wanted to highlight was Josh Vaccaro. He's an outside linebacker, and he's a gem we found after the fact, so got 6 gems we're looking at now, so we'll see what we can do. Entering this season, it's nice to see Greg Proctor at the top of the Heisman Trophy race. Time to start this season with the game of the week against our rivals Pitt with their 89 overall and number 9 ranking.
To throw, it's Proctor.
And for the first touchdown of this season, it's going to be running back Javier Culp on the receiving end of one from Greg Proctor, and it's going to be 7-0 for the Piranhas.
Fakes the handoff here, looking to throw it. Looking deep to the right side.
And on defense, we're going to get an interception here. Junior Nauta with great coverage to get that one. And we're going to take over at their 29-yard line.
Dropping back, it's Proctor.
Zay Garvin getting free on the crosser, and Zay Garvin is in the end zone for the first time this season. And we're going to go up 14-0 thanks to Junior Nauta.
Here's the snap. Quarterback looking to throw.
And tried the pump fake, but he is not going to get away as Tremaine Wolfe gets in there for the sack.
Back to pass. It's Proctor.
And Pitt is going to undercut this one, and he has a little room to work with, but he is going to get taken down by Stephen Bakhtiari. Great coverage there by Pitt, and they're going to be right at the 50-yard line. And over the middle, it's going to be Zay Garvin getting into the end zone. So after we had our interception, the defense picked us up, and the offense battled back to get a score on the board here. It's 21-0. And we're going to get a sack. Henry Carden gets in there and strips the ball loose, and Casey O'Neill is going to dive on it for the recovery, and we're going to be set up at their 26. And that's going to be number 3 for Zay Garvin on the RPO flat play, and the Piranhas are going to take advantage of the fumble recovery to go up 4 scores.
Here's the snap. Looking to throw here.
And just 3 Piranhas in on this sack. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Big pressure there. Chip Genus and a bunch of other guys in on that one. And big blitz, and we're going to get a man free as we get the sack with Junior Nauta, who's been very active in this first half. And open here is going to be Roland Crouch off the RPO, and the Peteytown Piranhas are going to take a 5-score lead right before halftime. And blocked field goal for Pitt, and it's going to make it a 34-0 game. Blocked extra point, I should say. And Tremaine Wolfe on the first play of the second half is going to get a sack. That's his 3rd sack of the game. And here's an interception for Pitt, trying to get it to the outside, but not quite there, as Pitt's man is going to make a nice leaping interception. Thanks to that interception, Pitt's been able to get it into field goal range, and they're going to send this kick up, and it is good, and so Pitt is on the board to make it 34-3.
Short. They'll try to throw for it here.
And Javier Culp is getting away here, and Javier Culp is in the end zone again on the receiving end of things, and we're going to make it 41-3. And coming off the edge is going to be Ezekiel Bird getting in there for the sack.
Out of the gun now on 3rd down.
And another sack here. It's going to be a fumble, but we do not recover it, but Tremaine Wolfe gets in there again, and he's been an absolute terror in this game. And Pitt's guy is going to stiff arm us into the end zone, and Pitt's got their first touchdown to make it 41-10. But with the deficit the way it is, I wanted to see how the starters finish off that drive. Fortunately, we gave up the touchdown, but now we're going to bring in some backups. The backups added a defensive score, and we're going to finish with a 48-10 victory over Pitt to start this season off, and another win in the Panthers Piranhas provocation, and big day there for Zay Garvin, as you can see, and great start to the season for the Piranhas outside of a couple of turnovers from Greg. Against Pitt, we put up 518 yards to their 219, and we had 178 yards on the ground while they had 9 for a touchdown. And then passing, we had 340 to their 210. They were 5 of 14 on third down while we were 1 for 1. Wow, only 1 third down attempt. That's pretty crazy. But we move on to the turnovers, and we had 3, and so did Pitt. Greg Proctor finished with 340 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That first one, I think the timing just got off, and he threw it with anticipation, and Pitt was right there to get it. And then the second one was just kind of his fault, not a good read, and he wasn't sacked today. Javier Colt was efficient on the ground today with 13 carries and 99 yards, and Lee Prince had 5 for 46. We saw what Zay Garvin did in that player of the game graphic, but to go over it again, he had 12 catches, 202 yards, and 3 touchdowns, while Javier Culp out of the backfield did some damage with 5 for 64 and 2 touchdowns, and Roland Crouch had that short goal line touchdown. Cesar Mingo had 9 tackles for us, while Tremaine Wolfe had 9, and 7 of those were for a loss, so he was an absolute monster. Of those TFLs, 4 of those were sacks for Tremaine Wolfe, and then Henry Carden had 2.5. Then we had 1 each for Ezekiel Bird and George Simonette, and then half a sack each for Junior Nauta, Ron Griffin, Nick Warrior, Chip Genus, and Skylar DeMarco, so a lot of guys in on the sacks today. And we got that pick on our first defensive possession with Junior Nauta. 3 forced fumbles today for the Piranhas as Henry Carden got 2 and Tremaine Wolfe got 1, and we recovered 2 of those, and Skylar DeMarco returned 127 yards for a touchdown. The Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week was no doubt Tremaine Wolfe. Got 4 guys in their top 5 stage for recruiting, as Kevin Shakir is there and he's in first place, but we don't have enough information for a sell on him yet. But for these other 3 guys, we all have their hard sells going, and we need it for Josh Vaccaro as he's in 4th place right now. But we took some points off of other guys to get him a visit in week 4. And then for Emmett Baggett, he's in 1st place narrowly, and Jimmy Wyndham is in 2nd place. Another game of the week for the Piranhas, and this time we got to travel to Arizona State to take on the Sun Devils, who won their first game, and they have the number 14 ranking.
Coming in motion now.
And we're going to get a sack here. Casey O'Neill gets in there for an 8-yard loss.
Getting after that quarterback.
And Henry Carden is going to get in there. Back-to-back plays with sacks for the Piranhas. Javier Culpa is going to get one, and he's going to get hit hard, but not before he crosses the plane. And the Piranhas are going to go up 7-0.
Quarterback looking to pass here on 2nd down.
And we're going to get a pick here, and we're going to have a clear lane to the end zone. Cesar Mingo just absolutely jumping that, and he's going to get the pick 6 to put us up 14-0.
He's got 6 last time out here. Pressure is coming.
Another interception here, as it's going to be a leaping one by Warren Newcomb, and we're going to get the ball at the 30-yard line. And Zay Garvin easily going to get into the end zone here off the RPO flat, and the Piranhas are going to take a 3-score lead, and we still got plenty of time here in the first quarter. Arizona State out here to try to make a field goal attempt, and they put it up, and it is going to be good to make it 21-3. Greg Proctor going to take this one himself, and we're going to get the push up front we need, and the Peteytown Piranhas are going to be up 28-3. And lots of pressure here, and it's going to get home as Tremaine Wolfe gets in there. Off the play action, it's not going to work. There's a forced fumble, and it's going to be picked up by Ezekiel Bird. It was just sitting there in the end zone, and Ezekiel Bird says thank you very much. And we're going to go up 35-3 on the Arizona State Sun Devils. I don't know if I said who got the sack, but it was Tremaine Wolfe who got in there, so nice job by Tremaine.
From the shotgun, he's probing the secondary.
And Javier Culp is going to get this one out of the backfield, and just the receiving game from him has been incredible to start this season, as that's his 3rd receiving touchdown in 2 games, and we're going to go up 42-3.
You're in the red zone. Looking to the end
Greg
zone.
Proctor throws a strike into the end zone, and that's going to be Emmanuel Sambrelo to get the touchdown, and right before the end of the first half, we're going to go up 49-3.
Looking to chuck it again.
And Casey O'Neill just immediately shedded that blocker to get in for the sack. And there goes Javier Culp. He's going to break the tackle, and Javier Culp is in the end zone. What a run by him. Nice blocking by the line and downfield. Javier Culp breaking some tackles. Just overall very well executed by the Piranhas as we go up 56-3. Complete and utter dominance here for the Peteytown Piranhas as we get the 76-3 victory in a game that saw the backups play most of that second half. Just absolutely great on defense. We were getting scores there, and the offense doing their thing as well. Just absolutely and unequivocally brilliant day for the Piranhas. Offensively, we had 447 yards to Arizona State's 111, and we had 136 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns, and they had -9. And then for passing, they had 120 and we had 311, and we were 6 of 9 on third down, nice, and they were 1 of 11. And then for turnovers, we didn't have any, and we forced 6 on Arizona State. Greg Proctor doing his thing out there with 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, and he wasn't sacked, and he only had 1 incompletion. And then for our guy Alton Vaughn, he had 87 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and he was sacked twice. Javier Culp was very effective today with 14 carries, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And we also had a touchdown run by Greg Proctor. Roland Crouch had 5 for 74 in the receiving game, while Sam Manapuna had 3 for 68 and a touchdown with the backups. Then Javier Culp had 4 for 51 and a touchdown to make it a 3 TD day for him. Zay Garvin had 9 for 47 and a touchdown. And then Emmanuel Sambrelo with a 10-yard touchdown catch. Talia Chung ended up with 6 tackles today to lead us. For sacks, Skylar DeMarco and Casey O'Neill each had 2. Then Tremaine Wolfe had 1.5. 1 each for George Simonette and Ezekiel Bird. Then half a sack each for Salisi Hwang, Henry Carden, and Stevie Johns. 5 interceptions today for the Piranhas as J.D. LaRoque got 1 as well as Caesar Mingo, and Caesar and J.D. returned theirs for touchdowns. Then you also had Luis Moe getting in on the action as well as Warren Newcomb and Walt Bender. Tremaine Wolfe was the one that forced that fumble in the end zone, and it was recovered by Ezekiel Bird, who scored a touchdown, making it 3 defensive touchdowns on the game for the Piranhas. Frank Webb got his first action of the year, going 2 for 2 with a long of 45. Kevin Shakir now has his hard sells, so we're going to try to use that to outlast Pitt there. And then Josh Vaccaro still in a very tight battle here, but we got him on a week 4 visit, and he actually moved into first place for us. And then for Emmett Baggett, he's also going to be on that week 4 visit next week after this bye week. And then Jimmy Wyndham in second place, just trying to keep pace with Clemson. Then a few other guys have entered their top 5. Pat Gainwell here is in first place, and him, Marquise Naylor, and George Machado all have hard sells going, and Marquise is currently in third place. And then for our other guys, we got double soft sells on Darren Lampman and Kamani Wiley, and for Kamani, got a lot of tier 5s around us, so very threatening there, but Darren's in first place, so we'll see how things work out. After the bye week, a lot of guys are now in their top 5 stage, and we're going to start here with Josh Vaccaro and Emmett Baggett, who are on a visit this week, and if we can get this visit to go our way, it looks like Emmett will commit to us. And then for week 6, we're going to have Jimmy Wyndham and Kamani Wiley getting in there. And then as for the rest of the guys, Kevin Shakir in his top 3, and we got his hard sell working now, so hopefully he commits soon. And then for Pat Gainwell, still in his top 5, and we got hard sells for the rest of these guys with Marquise Naylor in second place, George Machado in first, and Darren Lampman in first place as well. Then more first place guys here as we scroll down. And then for, let's see, we got Alex John and Trent Blanco on double soft sells, and Danny Fattencoon only getting 10 points right now as we're trying to get visits for other guys, and he was the one where we sacrificed some points because nobody else is really going after him right now, so we'll see what we can do and finally get Danny some points after getting some commitments. After being off last week, there's no Peteytown Piranhas on the Heisman Trophy list at the moment, so we'll see if we can change that. But looking at Doug Hartman, he had a huge game with 4 touchdowns and 253 rushing yards, so more power to him for getting the top spot. The recruits are coming in to watch our Big Ten opener for this season against Illinois, and they come in with a number 16 ranking and 89 team overall, and they have a 2-1 record on the season. And we're going to get a pick here, Kane McCarthy underneath, and he's going to return that and get it to the 47. Just a brilliant play by Kane, just standing in the spot. Quarterback didn't see him, I guess, trying to get it behind him, and Kane makes him pay. And the slant is going to work out on the RPO play. Salisi to Vasu getting into the end zone for the Piranhas, as we're going to go up 7-0. And that is going to be an interception by Illinois. Their man is going to have a free pass, and it's not as free as I thought, as Javier Culp is going to bring him down, but he's going to get all the way to our 5-yard line. Just not a good choice there by Greg Proctor. The guy was standing right in the window. It was an easy interception for Illinois.
He's looking to pass.
To the outside, and we're going to run that route for him, and it's going to be a pick by Zach Ball. What an incredible play by him. Just absolutely blanket coverage on that play by Zach, and we're going to prevent them from getting any points after their own interception. And Zay Garvin in some traffic out there is going to make the catch and get into the end zone for the Piranhas. And we're going to go up 14-0. And Zach Ball helping us with that interception in the other end zone. We're able to drive it all the way to the other side to make it a 2-score game. And Zay Garvin is going to get into the end zone again here as he's on the RPO flat play. And the Peteytown Piranhas will take a 21-0 lead on Illinois. And the deep ball is not going to work out for them as we're back there for the pick. That's going to be Devin Odrick, and he's going to return this one all the way for a touchdown. What an incredible play by Devin, just using his speed to get by everybody on that return. And we're going to go up 28-0, another defensive score for the Peteytown Piranhas. Another deep ball is going to be intercepted by the Piranhas. Zach Ball with his second of the day, and these top cornerbacks on our team are just absolutely dominating in this one. Illinois' quarterback trying to challenge them, and he's learning that it's not a very good idea to do that.
First and 10 at the 50. Right back to the well.
And Javier Culp just absolutely accelerating out of there, and Javier Culp with a very explosive touchdown there for the Piranhas. And we're going to go up 35-0 on Illinois. Frank Webb on to kick a very long field goal here as it's a 59-yarder. Frank is going to boom this one away, and it is through that left upright. And the Peteytown Piranhas will extend it to 38-0. And Devin Odrick with his second interception of the game, and he might have another return here, not all the way, but he will get it to the 36-yard line. So our top 2 cornerbacks each getting 2 interceptions in this one, and this quarterback just keeps on trying to challenge them for reasons that remain to him. Greg Proctor is going to get an easy walk-in touchdown here, a little juke at the end to make it look like some stylish stuff there, but the effect is just the same as we get the touchdown and make it 45-0. Illinois trying to put some points on the board here before the end of the first half, and they're going to send this kick up, and the kick is going to be... doesn't really matter because we roughed their kicker with Tremaine Wolf, so they're probably just set up for another attempt. Never mind, Illinois is going to accept that, is going to decline that penalty and accept the field goal make, so it's going to be 45-3. And we're going to get a sack here. Ezekiel Bird not fooled by the play action as he brings down their quarterback. And Zay Garvin is going to be out here in space, and Zay Garvin makes another trip to the end zone as we're going to make it 52-3. The Peteytown Piranhas get a very nice 69-3 victory over Illinois on a game where our defense just couldn't stop intercepting their opposing quarterbacks, and just a great day by the offense as well. But just the main story in this one was all the turnovers our defense forced, which we'll get into with the stats. But great job by the defense and the Peteytown Piranhas. 449 yards for the Peteytown Piranhas compared to Illinois' 216, and they had -2 yards rushing while we had 174 and 2 touchdowns. And then through the air they had 218 to our 275. They were 3 of 11 on third down while we were 6 for 11. And then of course the main story, we had 1 turnover, but we forced 9 interceptions in one game on Illinois. Gotta be a Peteytown record, just a sensational day. Greg Proctor had 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that 1 interception that he'd like to have back, but he would rather much have that than 9 interceptions, so that's something, I guess. And then he had 0 sacks, and then Alton Vaughn had 35 yards and a touchdown toss. Javier Culp, very effective once again for us with 14 carries, 134 yards, and 1 touchdown, and Greg Proctor added a touchdown run. Zay Garvin had 10 catches, 73 yards, and 3 touchdowns, while Javier Culp had 5 for 71. There was another touchdown reception for Salisi Tavasu as he added 4 catches and 36 yards. And Trevor Christie had a touchdown reception with the backups. Bunch of guys with 5 tackles today as Cesar Mingo, J.D. LaRoque, Ron Griffin, and Luis Moe got those. Only sack in this one was by Ezekiel Bird. Now we can count down these 9 interceptions by the Peteytown Piranhas. You got 2 each for Devin Odrick, Luis Moe, and Zach Ball. Then 1 each for Keenan LeCount, Talia Chung, and Kane McCarthy. And going over to the defensive touchdowns, we had 2 on this one with Devin Odrick and Keenan LeCount. Frank Webb 2 for 2 today with a long of 59. First recruit here is we got Will linebacker Josh Vaccaro, and following Josh will be left tackle Emmett Baggett, and a third with Kevin Shakir, the wide receiver. Few guys to choose from for this, but they gave it to Devin Odrick for Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, and Devin was also the National Defensive Player of the Week. After those commits came through, Jimmy Wyndham here, maybe not going to be one of them as Clemson is just out in front of us, but that's alright because we got another defensive tackle, George Machado, who should be committing after this week, so might lose one guy, but we should get George. Still no Peteytown Piranhas here in the Heisman Trophy race, but we do have to note that Eric Silver, the wide receiver for USC, is at the top spot, and that's who we're playing this week. And he has his stats here of 528 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he's coming off a game where he had 189 and 2 touchdowns, so definitely got to watch out for him. Huge game here against USC as it's going to be number 2 versus number 3 in a game of the week, and USC has a 99 team overall as well, and they're 4-0 to start this year, so definitely got to show out here and show them that we're the better team. And on 4th down, the Peteytown Piranhas are going to get the slant over the middle. It was going to be a first down anyway as USC was offsides, but we'll just decline that and take our points here. Nice job by the Piranhas on this first drive to go up 7-0. And he tried a quick throw, but Warren Newcomb read it, and Warren is going to get all the way into the end zone for the defensive touchdown. My, oh my, this defense just knows how to turn turnovers into points for us, and it's going to be 14-0 for the Piranhas. And on the rollout, he's going to roll right into Ezekiel Bird, for the sack. Almost said Byron Ezeki. Just missing that guy a little bit from last season as he transferred, but love having Ezekiel Bird making a play there. Toss out to Zay Garvin, and Zay is going to get into the end zone again for us, and it's going to be 21-0 for the Piranhas right before the end of the first quarter. And on the slant, we're going to hit our man on the outside. That's Salisi Tavasu getting into the end zone for the Piranhas, as we're going to make it 28-0. Just under 30 seconds left in the first half. Frank Webb is going to come out and attempt a hash mark kick, and Frank is going to put it through to make it 31-0.
is coming.
And he's getting chased down, and he's not going to get away from Casey O'Neill, who gets there on the sack.
Quarterback keeps the football.
And here's a fumble forced by USC, and they're going to get it, and USC is going to get their first score of the day on a defensive touchdown. Just a big hit to force that ball loose on Greg Proctor, and USC is going to make it 31-7.
We'll see if the defense brings the blitz.
And trying a deep ball here, and it's going to be picked off by USC, trying to force that one to Zay Garvin. So 2 straight possessions, we got turnovers, and USC is trying to build a little momentum to make this a game. USC out here after the interception to attempt a field goal, a 47-yarder. Their kicker is going to let this one fly and through the uprights, and it's going to be 31-10. In response to USC's field goal, we're going to have a field goal attempt from Frank Webb. It's going to be a 38-yarder, and Frank is going to confidently put that one through, and we're going to go back up 24 as it's 34-10.
Looking to chuck it again. Running out of time in the pocket.
And leaping interception here near the end zone as Zach Ball is going to get this one and return it down the numbers. And they're going to bring him down at the 22-yard line, but great coverage there by Zach Ball. After the Zach Ball interception, another field goal attempt for Frank Webb from the hash mark. And Frank is going to put this one up and through. And the Peteytown Piranhas will go up 37-10.
Off the play fake, looking to throw on first down.
And USC is going to add another one here on that strike to the end zone, and they're going to make it a 37-17 game. 37-17 is the final here against USC, and just great job by the Piranhas, especially that first half, just putting this game out of reach. A couple of turnovers from Greg Proctor you'd like to see cleaned up, but other than that, the Piranhas are going to pass this road test against USC. We outgained USC 436 to 251, and we had 201 rushing yards to their 10. For passing, we had 235, and they just outgained us with 241. We were 6 of 11 on third down, while they were 4 for 11. And for turnovers, we both had 2. Greg Proctor with 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception in that fumble, and he was not sacked. Javier Culp with a big day, 21 carries and 148 yards. Zay Garvin led us with 12 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown, while Roland Crouch had 5 for 54 and a touchdown, and Salisi Tavasu 4 for 45 and a touchdown. Cesar Mingo led us with 14 tackles, while Warren Newcomb had 10. Couple of sacks today, 1 for Casey O'Neill and 1 for Ezekiel Bird. 2 interceptions for the Piranhas as Warren Newcomb returned his 38 yards for a touchdown, and Zach Ball got his in the end zone. Frank Webb perfect again with 3 for 3 on field goals and a long of 38. George Machado has joined our defensive line. Warren Newcomb was recognized as the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. A bunch of guys on a visit this week against Texas, as Kamani Wiley is one of those, and we need it as he's in a tight battle over Alabama. And if we can get this to be successful, maybe Kamani will decide to join us. And then Jimmy Wyndham, to my surprise, did not commit to Clemson. Instead, it's a recruiting battle, so maybe we can use this visit to tip the scales. And then another guy will be Jamichael Heggie, who's in his top 3, and Marquise Naylor also in his top 3, and finally Otis Moody in his top 3, and all these battles are very close, so really need this win against Texas. And then another guy on week 6 is going to be Nick Melendez, and finally we're going to have Alex John on the offensive side, so very defense heavy as we're trying to get these guys to boost each other up, and a couple of offensive guys coming in this week. Another game of the week here for the Peteytown Piranhas, as this time it's a 1 versus 4 matchup against the number 4 Texas Longhorns. They got a 97 team overall, and they have lost this year. They're 4-1 on the season, but can't take them lightly, especially with the past battles we've had with them. And of course, last year's playoffs, we had a matchup with them, and they gave us our closest game of the year, so gotta watch out for these Longhorns.
Back, looking to throw for the first down.
And we're going to get a sack here. Ezekiel Bird getting back there. On our first drive, we get it just outside of their red zone, but no further, as Frank Webb is going to attempt this field goal. And Frank is going to put it through, and the Peteytown Piranhas take the 3-0 lead.
In motion now to throw. It's Proctor.
And they're going to sack us here as two guys push Greg Proctor back. And we're going to get some pressure here, and it's going to be George Boozer getting in there for the sack. And Roland Crouch is breaking free now. Nobody is going to catch Roland as he's going to get this one into the end zone. Explosive play here for the Peteytown Piranhas as we're going to go up 10-0. And another sack here for Texas as their man just bullied his way through.
Drops back, needing a third down completion here. Deep shot toward the end zone.
Interception here for Texas as their man fought for position in front of our receiver, and they are going to prevent us from putting any points up.
Quarterback looking to throw it on second down. Fires it to the wideout.
We're going to get a pick right back here. George Boozer is going to get it. He's running down the numbers. Is anyone going to catch George? No, they will not. George Boozer with a huge play here, and we're going to go up 17-0 on Texas. Another interception here as Kane McCarthy undercuts that pass. Kane McCarthy running down the numbers, and it's going to be another pick six for the Piranhas. 2 straight possessions with pick sixes. Unbelievable defense. Like just the start of this season, turning turnovers into points just at an alarming rate, really. Just incredible job here by Kane. Shows off that athleticism on the jump and on the run.
Play fake, looking to throw the football. Looking for the wideout.
And would you look at that, another interception for the Peteytown Piranhas. Can't tell quite who it is. It looks like Warren Newcomb on it. And just incredible defense here. Pass coverage is absolutely elite here for the Peteytown Piranhas as their quarterback is struggling to find open guys. Greg Proctor gets the push from the offensive line, and there was a few pancakes there from the offensive lineman, and that's going to help Greg Proctor get in the end zone and make it 31-0 Piranhas. At the end of the half here, Texas trying to put something on the board with a really long field goal. Their kicker is going to let it fly, and it is good. I think that was a 64-yarder, so that's definitely realistic, but it's going to be 31-3.
Back, looking to throw for the first down. Lets it fly out of the wideout.
And another interception. My goodness, 2 guys over there. It's going to be Devin Odrick coming away with it. Couldn't tell if it was tipped into his hands or he just caught it, but either way, another interception for the Peteytown Piranhas defense.
Looking to pass here on second down.
And wide open over the middle, Javier Culp is going to get another receiving touchdown on his tally for the season. And we're going to go up 38-3.
And the quarterback dropping back.
Greg Proctor going to find Zay Garvin open for the touchdown. And the Peteytown Piranhas are going to take a 45-3 lead right at the start of the fourth quarter. Well, that performance ought to impress the recruits that came to visit as we get the 45-3 victory over Texas. Just absolutely dominant on the pass defense yet again, and our offense did their thing as well. And just we keep moving and moving along. It was a tough stretch entering here with USC and Texas and our next game against UCLA, but so far the Piranhas are really passing the test with flying colors. We just snuck over the 400-yard mark as we had 403 compared to Texas's 170, and they had 15 yards rushing while we had 108 and a touchdown. And then for passing yards, we had 295 to their 155. They were 5 of 13 on third down while we were 6 for 11. And then for turnovers, we had 2, but we forced 5 on Texas. 287 yards for Greg Proctor, and he had 3 touchdowns and that 1 interception in the end zone, just trying to give us a chance, but the defender just bullied his way into position, and then he was sacked 3 times. Javier Culp finished with 13 carries and 86 yards. Roland Crouch got himself over 100 yards with 4 catches, 102, and 1 touchdown. And Zay Garvin had 11 for 78 and a touchdown. And Javier Culp 6 for 46 and a touchdown. Junior Nauta led us with 8 tackles and 2 of them for a loss. Decent pressure today as Ezekiel Bird and Stevie Johns got 1.5 sacks each. Then half a sack for Salisi Hwang and George Boozer. 5 interceptions today as George Boozer got 1 for 45 yards and a pick 6. Then Devin Odrick and Warren Newcomb got theirs. Kane McCarthy with another 45-yard pick six. And Eric Lopez got one as well. Frank Webb only had to hit one field goal today, and he did it for 42 yards. Let's see how many guys are committing here. We're going to start with Sam linebacker Kamani Wiley. We did end up getting defensive tackle Jimmy Wyndham, so that wasn't looking very good, but we were able to turn it around. 5-star right edge Jamichael Heggie is now a Peteytown Piranha. Another 5 stars coming as cornerback Marquise Naylor will be joining us. And 3 straight 5 stars coming off the board here with free safety Otis Moody. How about another 5-star on the offensive side of the ball this time with quarterback Nick Melendez. Back down to earth with a 4-star and right tackle Alex John. And on the outside, we got that gem wide receiver, Pat Gainwell. Unbelievable, just even more recruits here. Another cornerback with Darren Lampman. Now the recruiting focus turns to the guys who are coming to visit this week on Week 7 with Trent Blanco and Kari Gentile, both in tight battles right now. Then in Week 9, looking towards the future, is Rocky Long. He might commit before that Week 9 visit, so that's why I'm highlighting him, unless Duke has something to say about it with that Week 7 visit. Then Quinn Balkasoon is in his top 5 here in a Week 9 visit. And another guy to look at is Danny Fatten-Kuhn, who's in his top 3 and getting no challenge from anybody. For the Heisman Trophy race, our guy Zay Garvin has found himself on the list as he's the number 5 guy now. It's kind of a broken record at this point, but we're in another game of the week, this time against UCLA with their number 4 ranking and 90 team overall, and they are 6-0 on this season. And all of this, we're going to try to impress some recruits as well for this one, so big matchup upcoming. On their first possession, UCLA is going to open up with a field goal attempt here of 48 yards. Their kicker lines it up and puts it through, and UCLA's got an early 3-0 lead. And a drag over the middle is going to get our man, I forget his name, Roland Crouch. Oh my God. I don't know where that came from, but Roland Crouch is going to get that touchdown for us. It's going to be 7-3 for the Piranhas. And there's a fumble there. UCLA is going to pick it up, and they are going to try to run this one back, but Emmanuel Sambrelo is going to catch him, and I'm going to challenge it to see if we can get this ball back. And that might have come out of Greg Proctor's hands here. Let's see. Ball's still in his hands, and it comes out. I think this might be a turnover for Greg Proctor and the Piranhas. Here's the snap. Quarterback drops back. Makes a quick grab. And here's a fumble right back for the Piranhas, and we're going to pick that one up, and it's going to be Casey O'Neill recovering it. So back-to-back fumbles for these teams, and we're going to end up with it on the 48-yard line. Warren Newcomb is the one that was able to force that one out. Looking to pick up the first down through the air. And Greg Proctor is going to go down here on the sack. Thought he might have had a chance to get it out to some hitches out there, but either he didn't see it or he didn't like the look, and we're going to have to settle for a field goal attempt. 38-yard field goal attempt for Frank Webb here, and he is going to put that one up, and it sails on through like it has all season for him, and the Peteytown Piranhas will be up a touchdown at 10-3. And he tries to fire one over the middle, and that's not a good idea when Kane McCarthy is there. And wouldn't you know, another defensive touchdown for this Peteytown Piranhas. And Kane McCarthy gets one here to make it 17-3. Play action here on first down. Fires it to the wide out. And he tries to float one this time, and it's going to be intercepted again, and it's going to be Zach Ball getting that one. So first one was a dart pass that he tried. This one lofted, and Zach Ball was there, just did not let the receiver breathe at all, and he's going to come away with the pick. Second down, we're going to throw it. Greg Proctor fires one, and it's going to be that man again, Roland Crouch in the end zone, and the Peteytown Piranhas will go up 24-3. The Piranhas work it into Frank Webb territory with the final seconds in this half, and Frank is going to put this one up, and Frank is good yet again, and the Peteytown Piranhas will extend it to 27-3 at halftime. And in the end zone will be Zay Garvin with another touchdown catch on his resume. And the Peteytown Piranhas will go up 34-3.
Off the play fake, looking to throw.
And off the play action, it's going to be an interception here for the Peteytown Piranhas. And it looks like it's going to be Junior Nauta making that one. And we're right outside their red zone. Offense can't do much with it after the interception, and Frank Webb is going to come on here for another field goal attempt. And it is good, and it's going to be 37-3 Piranhas.
Drops back, looking to throw for it on third down. Looking for a man deep down the left side.
And the deep ball is not going to work out here as we get yet another interception, and we're going to get a nice return on it as well, all the way to the 24-yard line. It's going to be Kai Hamrick coming down with that one. Another interception resulting in a field goal attempt here for Frank Webb. And Frank Webb is going to attempt the 32-yarder. And it is good yet again for our guy. And it's going to be 40-3 for the Peteytown Piranhas. The Piranhas add a couple more field goals to make it a 46-3 victory over UCLA, and yet again the story continues to be the defense with all these interceptions and everything, and the offense just chugging along doing their thing. Just another great win for the Piranhas. 382 yards for the Piranhas, and UCLA had 135. They had 15 yards rushing while we had 87. Then through the air, we had 295, and they had 120. They were 4 of 12 on third down, while we were 8 for 14. And for turnovers, we had 1, and they had 6. Outside of the fumble, Greg Proctor had a pretty good day with 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks, and he was sacked once. Javier Colt with a bit of a quiet day, but he was efficient on the ground with 5.4 yards a carry, as he had 11 carries and 59 yards. Zay Garvin with a big day today with 15 catches, 133 yards, and 1 touchdown. And you had Roland Crouch getting 5 for 37 and 2 touchdowns. Warren Newcomb adding 10 tackles today to lead the defense. 5 interceptions today for the Piranhas defense, as Kane McCarthy got one that he returned 30 yards for a pick 6. Then Luis Moe got one with the backups. And then for the rest of the guys, Junior Nauta, Zach Ball, and Kai Hamrick getting their hands on it. Warren Newcomb also added a forced fumble in this one, and it was recovered by Casey O'Neill. Frank Webb was asked to kick 6 field goals today, and he made all of them, and he had a long of 59. Halfback Trent Blanco will be joining the Peteytown Piranhas as another 5-star joins us. And blocking for our newly acquired halfback will be right guard Kari Gentile. Another defensive back is coming through as Rocky Long will join us, a 5-star. An exciting addition to the linebacking core as Danny Fattencoon will join us. Of the original guys that were on our board, Isaac Priestley is in his top 3 and just about ready to commit to us, and Quinn Balkasoon is going to be on a Week 9 visit the following week as USC and Ohio State are trying to challenge for him. Zay Garvin moving on up in the Heisman Trophy race as he's now number 3. Not a game of the week this time for the Peteytown Piranhas as we go to Minnesota to take on the Golden Gophers with their 2-4 record and 74 overall.
And he takes this from inside the 5. Makes a move.
And Roland Crouch is breaking free on the kick return, and Roland Crouch down the hash marks is going to score. So the opening salvo of this game is going to be on the kick return, and we're going to be up 7-0.
Use the play fake now to throw.
And pressure coming here, and it's going to be Chip Genus getting him down for the sack.
He's looking to throw.
And Zay Garvin is going to get under their zones and into the end zone, and we're going to make it 14-0. Following the Zay Garvin touchdown, it's going to be a field goal attempt here for Minnesota, and they are going to put it up and good to make it 14-3.
And we found that out again today, guys, with another.
And Roland Crouch is making another big play here, this time in the receiving game, and nobody's going to catch Roland here as he's got a long touchdown pass and reception, and it's going to be 21-3.
Off the bootleg, wants to throw it.
And here we go on a sack. It's going to be a forced fumble, and it's going to be picked up by Tremaine Wolf. I think he's going to get credit for the forced fumble and the recovery, doing it all on that play for Tremaine. And it looks like they're actually going to give Ezekiel Bird credit on the forced fumble, as he was in on that sack as well, but still a great play by the guys.
Going right to work up top.
And trying to force one in there is Greg Proctor, and that's not going to work out for us, as Minnesota's got an interception right after the fumble, so a couple of turnovers on back-to-back plays.
Harris back to pass.
Big blitz here, and it's going to work out for us as George Boozer gets in there for the sack.
Don't do that anymore. Third and very long coming up.
On the outside, it's going to be a leaping interception. Devin Odrick all over that one, showing off the athleticism there, and we're going to turn him over right back. And it's going to be Zay Garvin off the pop pass. Nobody there for him, and nobody's going to catch Zay Garvin, and he is going to put us up 28-3.
Harris will throw. Lofts one high and deep.
And trying to float another one up there, and again Devin Odrick is going to come down with it, and Devin is going to return it all the way back to the 28-yard line of Minnesota. And really with Devin Odrick, it's a no-fly zone when he's around.
First down.
And trying to throw a dart here, and it's not going to work out for us, as it's intercepted again by Minnesota. So both quarterbacks having a little trouble with interception issues today.
Snap from the gun on third down.
And just a lot of piranhas there, and he had absolutely no space to work with. Looks like Josh Linder got in there for the sack, amongst others.
Now they had it, hoping for better fortune this time around.
And somehow, some way, we come away with another interception there, as Caesar Mingo gets that one. Looks like it was just bounced around, maybe bounced off the backside of the receiver, and Caesar Mingo just plucked it out of the air. Greg Proctor is going to take this one into the end zone despite some tackle attempts from Minnesota, and it's going to be 35-3.
From the gun, wants to pass. Right down the
And we're going to cut off another pass here, as George Boozer is going to get an interception, and we have it on their side of the 50. Can't quite punch it into the end zone near the end of the first half, and Frank Webb is going to come on here to put some points on the board. And Frank is going to kick this one through, and it's going to be 38-3 going into halftime.
From the gun, wants to pass.
And would you look at that, another interception. Zach Ball getting this one, and he's going to get it back to the 31-yard line, just smothering defense.
Third set of downs.
And Zay Garvin is going to get this one off the RPO flat play we love, and Zay Garvin just having a huge day today, as well as the rest of the Piranhas, as we're up 45-3. The Peteytown Piranhas close out this 45-6 victory over Minnesota. Just a great job again by the defense, and the offense a little slow in that second half, but we'll forgive them after they put up so many points in this game. The Piranhas had 465 yards to Minnesota's 175, and we had 61 on the ground with a touchdown, while they had 28. And through the air, we had 404 yards to their 147, 1 for 6 on third down for the Piranhas, and 1 for 13 for Minnesota. And we had 3 turnovers while they had 6, so 9 total in this game, so it wasn't exactly the cleanest. Greg Proctor finished with 334 yards, 4 touchdowns, and those 2 picks, and then we had no sacks in this one. And unfortunately, Alton Vaughn also threw an interception. Not a lot happening in the running game today, as Javier Culp led us with 6 carries and 48 yards, and Greg Proctor had 1 touchdown carry. Absolutely monstrous day for Zay Garvin, as he had 14 catches for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Roland Crouch with a big day with 2 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Warren Newcomb was all over the place with 9 tackles and 4 for a loss. George Simonette led us with 2 sacks, while Salisi Wang had 1.5, then 1 sack each for George Boozer, Jermaine Wolf, Ezekiel Bird, Chip Genus, and Stevie Johns, then half a sack for Warren Newcomb, Taekwon Paul, and Josh Linder. Another 5-interception day for this defense, as Devin Odrick had 2, then George Boozer, Caesar Mingo, and Zach Ball each had 1. Not a very stressful day for Frank Webb as he hit his only field goal attempt for 17 yards. And Roland Crouch got the whole thing started with a 99-yard kick return touchdown. Yet another 5-star in the defensive backfield will be joining us with Isaac Priestley. Zero surprise that Zay Garvin was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, and Zay was also the National Offensive Player of the Week. Quinn Balkasoon is visiting us this week, and hopefully we can put on a show for him. Then for the rest of the guys, we have some late additions to the board, as you have Broderick Bobo, a center, and he's got a well-rounded archetype, and you can see his balance and everything. Then you got a raw strength with Tevin Brom at center, and you can see he's got more on the power side of things naturally. And then for tight end Carter Burns, he's got some decent athleticism, and the main draw is that he's got a tier 5 pipeline with us, so he should be pretty easy to get. And then we got Roland Sheed, a Mike Thumper linebacker, good acceleration and big hit power, so I think he could be something for us here. And then another guy with Delonte Metcalf, just nobody was going after him, so I decided to. With that huge performance in our last game, Zay Garvin has taken the top spot in the Heisman Trophy race. Our rivals Maryland are struggling this season as they're 3-5 and they have a 79 team overall, and we're hoping to make our rivals struggle some more. And on the blitz, we're going to get them down with Tremaine Wolf. They tried a little pump fake action, but just took too long to develop when Tremaine Wolf is bearing down on you. And another sack here, back-to-back plays with the sacks as 3 guys combine in on him, including Ezekiel Bird. And Javier Culp is left wide open on that orbit motion play, and Javier Culp is in the end zone for the Piranhas, and we're up 7-0. And we're going to get a sack here. Henry Carden getting free to get that 7-yard loss. And the blitz is finally going to get in as Josh Linder was sneaking up through his slot cornerback spot, and he got to him. And he's going to throw one right into our hands, and we're going to get a return here, and it is going to be a pick 6. Josh Linder is the one who gets it, so in one play he gets a sack, the next one he gets an interception right in his hands, and it's going to be 14-0 for the Peteytown Piranhas. And that pocket is going to collapse on him again, and we're going to get another sack, our 5th of the first quarter. Casey O'Neill looks to be a guy that was in on it. And yet another sack, and it's going to be a forced fumble, and it's going to be Tremaine Wolf picking this one up. Great play by the defense. Looks like a bunch of guys were on that. Not sure who they're going to credit with that forced fumble, but it is going to set us up very nicely at the 8-yard line already. And Nick Warrior is the one that's going to get credit for the forced fumble.
Dropping back, it's Proctor. Here comes the heat. Fires into the
Greg Proctor is going to scramble and throw one, and it's going to be caught for a touchdown by Salisi Tavasu. So little Greg Proctor action there, doing what he loves, just running around there and getting a play, and going to make it 21-0.
wants to throw. It's Rousseau.
And just absolutely no time for that quarterback, and we're going to get another forced fumble and another recovery. Tremaine Wolf in on that one again, and it's going to be set up nicely at their 22-yard line.
Second down, he'll throw it.
And Zay Garvin getting around there, and Zay Garvin is in the end zone once again for the Peteytown Piranhas, and it's going to be 28-0. And Javier Culp is going to get around the edge here on the stretch play, and the Peteytown Piranhas will make the lead 35-0. And we're going to get another interception here. Zach Ball is the one that gets this one, and he's going to return it to the 29-yard line. Just Zach Ball saw where the ball was going and stood in the spot and got it.
Wants to throw on third down.
Floating it outside, and it's going to be caught by Salisi Tavasu, and Salisi's in the end zone for the Piranhas, making it 42-0 before halftime.
Looking to throw, it's Rousseau.
And Henry Carden getting in there for another sack in this ball game.
To the air on second down. Looking to the big
Ripping one here, and it's going to be right into the arms of our defender, Kai Hamrick, making that leaping interception.
looking downfield on first down.
And we're going to go with a deep slant here, and it's going to be our man Emmanuel Sambrelo getting that touchdown catch after the interception from Kai Hamrick, and we're going to make it 49-0. Sheer dominance in this one for the Peteytown Piranhas as we win 70-0 over our rivals Maryland in the Peteytown, Maryland War. We had 464 yards of offense to their 149, and they had negative 42 yards rushing while we had 84 and 3 scores. And for passing, we had 380 to their 191. We were perfect on third down at 6 for 6 while they were 5 for 12. And then for turnovers, we had 0 while we forced them into 6. Greg Proctor actually perfect today as he had 210 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no picks, and he didn't have a single incompletion, which is something he's done before. And no incompletion either for John Hardy as he had 170 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and he was sacked once. Lee Prince ended up leading us in rushing with 9 carries, 49 yards, and a touchdown, while Javier Culp had 6 for 27 and a touchdown, and John Hardy had 1 touchdown. Dylan DeLuca ended up leading us in receiving from his backup spot at tight end with 6 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown, and Zay Garvin had 10 for 97 and a touchdown. Javier Culp out of the backfield had 3 for 48 and a touchdown. Then Salisi Tavasu 3 for 30 and 2 touchdowns. And finally, Emmanuel Sambrelo 3 for 20 and a touchdown. J.D. LaRoque led us with 6 tackles in this one. It was a pass rusher's dream in this game as Henry Carden, Casey O'Neill, and Tremaine Wolfe all had 2 sacks. Then Ezekiel Bird had 1.5. Then we got 1 sack each for J.D. LaRoque, Assad Barmore, Skylar DeMarco, Josh Linder, and then we had half a sack from Nick Warrior. 4 picks in this ball game for the Piranhas as Kai Hamrick, J.D. LaRoque, and Josh Linder got 1 that he returned 37 yards for a touchdown. And can't forget about Zach Ball getting 1. 2 forced fumbles today for the Piranhas as Casey O'Neill and Nick Warrior forced those out, and they were both recovered by Tremaine Wolfe. On the recruiting train is right edge Quinn Balkasoon. The Piranhas are going to be traveling to Autzen Stadium now to take on the Oregon Ducks and their 94 team overall and 7-2 record. And last time we came here, we handled our business very well, so hoping to do the same here in another game of the week.
This is a key game in the grand scheme of things.
And we're going to get a pick here. Nice job by Josh Linder just cutting that one off. And we're going to be set up right outside of their red zone.
This is going to be tough for the visitors today.
Greg Proctor getting it to Zay Garvin, and Zay Garvin is going to get into the end zone 1 play after that interception. So the Peteytown Piranhas starting this game very nicely against the Oregon Ducks.
And looking to throw now on first down.
And we're going to get in for a sack here. Tremaine Wolfe is going to be the one to bring him down. And going to be a leaping interception here by Oregon, just trying that RPO post play, but that man read it beautifully. And now Oregon set up very nicely at our 30-yard line.
A play action looking to throw.
And Tremaine Wolfe getting in there again for another sack in this game.
On third down, he drops to throw.
And pressure's coming hot again, and Casey O'Neill was the first one to get there, and it looks like Ezekiel Bird was there to help clean it up. After we push them back on defense, Oregon's going to try a field goal attempt here. Their kicker has sent this one up, and it is wide to the right, so we're going to get away with that interception from Greg Proctor, thanks in large part to our defense. And Javier Culp is going to get the blocking he needs on the stretch play, and Javier Culp is going to make it a 2-score game for the Peteytown Piranhas. Oregon trying to line up another field goal attempt here from about 53 yards out, and their kicker is going to send this one up, and this time he's able to put it through, so the Oregon is going to make it 14-3. And Zay Garvin getting open on that crosser again, and Zay Garvin is in the end zone again for the Peteytown Piranhas, and we're going to go up 3 scores, 21-3. And right up the middle, Casey O'Neill is going to get this sack and push him back 7 yards.
Out of the gun now on 3rd down.
And another sack incoming as we're going to crunch him down with 2 guys and get the safety, and we're going to make it 23-3. Ezekiel Bird and Tremaine Wolf combining in on that one.
And the quarterback looking to make a play through the air.
And we're going to get our guy open here, and it's going to be Emmanuel Sambrelo doing a little dig route there, and he is going to get us to 30-3. Actually, it was a zig route, not a dig route, my bad, but great route running by Emmanuel Sambrelo to get us the touchdown here.
Here's the snap. Quarterback drops back. Looking to the end zone.
Floating one up there, and it's going to be Roland Crouch coming down with it on the jump ball. Didn't really get much of a contest from that corner, but Roland Crouch used his big frame to get that one to put us up 37-3.
That time. Looking to throw it on 1st down.
And Chip Genus is going to fight through and get that sack.
He's looking to throw. Pressure is coming.
And he's going to try to get away, but Nick Warrior came right up the middle to get that sack on a nice little move there he put on the blocker. Despite a couple sacks from the Piranhas, Oregon's still able to get it into field goal range before the end of the first half. And their kicker is going to send it through, and it is going to bounce in off the uprights, and Oregon is going to make it 37-6. And it's going to be a wild pass, and it's going to be intercepted by the Piranhas here. What a play. Josh Linder getting that one. The pressure from a defensive line on the quarterback caused the errant pass, and Josh Linder is going to take advantage.
Out of the gun now on 3rd down.
And we're going to get Zay Garvin on the side of the end zone. 2 guys were trying to follow him, but Zay Garvin still got enough separation to give Greg Proctor a window, and we're going to go up 44-6. And Tremaine Wolf just beat his man immediately, and that's going to be his 4th sack of the ball game. Offense works it to Oregon's 26-yard line to set up Frank Webb for a field goal attempt, and Frank is going to sail that one through and make it 47-6. So great all-around day for the Piranhas here as we get the 47-6 victory over Oregon. Just, of course, great defense as usual, and the offense doing their thing. Greg Proctor bouncing back from an early interception to deliver a very good performance, and we keep on moving on. The Piranhas had 394 yards to Oregon's 200, and we had 57 yards rushing and a touchdown while they had negative 49. And through the air, we had 337 yards to their 249, and we were 7-11 on 3rd down while they were 2 for 11. And the turnover battle, we had 1 and forced 2 on Oregon. Greg Proctor finishing this one with 333 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and he was not sacked. Javier Culp, a bit of a struggle today, but he had 14 carries, 49 yards, and a score. Zay Garvin led us with 12 catches, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns, while Roland Crouch had 4 for 55 and a touchdown. And then Salisi Tavasu, 4 for 53, and Emmanuel Sambrelo, 7 for 49 and a touchdown. Tremaine Wolf led us with 7 tackles in this one and also had 5 TFLs. Tremaine Wolf, an absolute monster out there with 4 sacks, while George Simonet got 1.5, as well as Casey O'Neill. Then we got 1 each for Ezekiel Bird, Stevie Johns, Henry Carden, and Chip Genus. Then half a sack each for Ron Griffin, Assad Barmore, Nick Warrior, Salisi Hwang, and J.D. LaRoque. Our 2 interceptions today belong to Josh Linder. Frank Webb hit his only attempt today, a 43-yarder. Tight end Carter Burns has joined the ranks of the Piranhas. The 2 centers on our board right now are in their top 5 stage, as Broderick Bobo is well in first place over Texas, and Tevin Brom is in a close battle over Clemson and North Carolina, but Clemson's got that Tier 5 pipeline. And for Tevin, we got his double soft sell, and Broderick has his hard sell going. Number 17, Penn State, is welcoming us to Happy Valley in this game of the week with their 96 team overall and 6-3 record. Greg Proctor being chased down, and Penn State's guy is going to bring him down to stop this drive in its tracks. After the sack, it's a 50-yard field goal attempt for Frank Webb, and Frank is going to send it up, and they're doing slow-mo for fun reasons. And it is going to hit the All-State sign, and the Peteytown Piranhas will take the early 3-0 lead. Penn State forcing us on another field goal attempt here with Frank Webb. It's going to be a 47-yarder, and it's another slow-mo one. And it is going to be no good, so that's going to be a rare miss for Frank Webb. I think it's his first miss of the season. He missed it wide right, and Penn State's mascot is really rubbing it into our faces.
Looking to pick up the first down through the air.
And we are going to get a sack here. Ezekiel Bird coming around the edge and rounding around to get that quarterback down. And quick toss out to Zay Garvin, and Zay Garvin is going to get into the end zone in what has been a very defense-oriented first half for both teams, but we're going to get a little separation here at a 10-0 advantage.
It's third down. Quarterback in the shotgun.
And we're going to get a pick here. Warren Newcomb is there to get it, and he's going to get it to their 39-yard line. And Warren Newcomb just makes a very nice play there. Gets into his zone quickly and just snuffs out that pass. And Greg Proctor gets sacked here and fumbles, but we are able to recover it, thankfully. Could have been a real nasty situation there. Offense can't do much with it after the interception from Warren, so Frank Webb is out here to kick the field goal with the seconds ticking off in the first half. And he's going to recover from that earlier miss to make this one and put us up 13-0. And Javier Culp is going to get around the edge, and Javier Culp is in the end zone. Wasn't sure if that guy was going to make a play on the edge out there, but Javier Culp ran right by him, and we're going to go up 20-0. Scratch that 20-0. Petey Previte's looking to make it a 2-point conversion here. Greg Proctor going to drop back. He's dropping back even more, and he is going to get sacked, so it's going to be 19-0 instead. And we're going to get the bubble wide open here. Nobody was looking at Roland Crouch, and he is going to get it into the end zone for the Piranhas. And we're going to make this 26-0.
Play action here on first down.
And Casey O'Neill streaking towards the quarterback for the sack here and a 5-yard loss.
Looking downfield, it's Proctor.
And Zay Garvin is going to get another touchdown in this one, and the Peteytown Piranhas are going to take the 33-0 lead. So we're able to shut out Penn State in their home field as we get the 33-0 victory. Just outstanding defense as usual, and the offense a little slow in the first half, but they were able to pick things up in that second half and get the job done. And we are walking out of here with a very nice win. Incredible milestone here, as this victory against Penn State was our 90th straight victory. Just incredible by the Peteytown Piranhas. As for the stats in this one, we have 388 yards to their 173, and we had 149 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and they had 17. And through the air, we had 239 to their 156. And third down, 9 of 13 for the Piranhas, while Penn State was 3 for 11. And then for turnovers, we forced one and kept it clean ourselves. Greg Proctor was not fazed by the home crowd of Penn State, as he had 239 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and he was sacked twice. Javier Culp really got it going as the game went on, as he finished with 21 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Zay Garvin finished with 13 catches, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns, while Roland Crouch had 7 for 56 and a touchdown, and Emmanuel Sambrelo had 7 for 51. Devin Odrick and Warren Newcomb led us with 7 tackles apiece. Couple of sacks today for the Piranhas, as Ezekiel Bird and Casey O'Neill got them. Warren Newcomb was the one who got the interception. Frank Webb had an unfortunate miss today, but he was able to hit his other 2 kicks in a long of 53. Broderick Bobo really separating from Texas now in recruiting, and then Tevin Brom, a little competition from Clemson, but we separated a little bit, and now we have his hard sell. And then for Roland Sheed, he's clearly in first place with nobody else really going after him, and we have his hard sell. And then for Delonte Metcalf, Florida State trying to make a run at it, but we have his double soft sell. We're going to rekindle our matchup with Notre Dame in this one as we travel to their stadium, and fans of the Piranhas will know that we've had some big adventures here at Notre Dame Stadium, and we'll see what this chapter has in store as we face off against the 7-3, 90 overall Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
From the gun, wants to pass. Fires to the right. He's got it.
And their tight end is going to be breaking free of our tackles, and nobody is going to catch this guy. And he is going to get into the end zone after running across the field for whatever reason. But Notre Dame is going to take the early 7-0 lead. And Javier Colt with a nice stiff arm on a man to get himself into the end zone. And we're going to respond to that opening salvo from Notre Dame to tie it up at 7. And the pressure's coming through, and Casey O'Neill is going to bring him down for a nice loss. And Zay Garvin is running down the sideline, and nobody's going to catch Zay Garvin as he gets into the end zone, and the Piranhas are going to take the lead 14-7. And Ezekiel Byrd getting in there for the sack here. It's an 8-yard loss. And wide open, it's going to be Zay Garvin, and he's going to split the safeties on the way to the end zone. Zay Garvin with another big play in this one, and it's going to be 21-7 Piranhas. And Chip Genus getting in there for the sack, just bullied his man on his way to the quarterback. This time around, Notre Dame has stopped our offense, but we're in field goal range for Frank Webb, and Frank is going to kick this one away, and it is through. And the Peteytown Piranhas will extend it to 24-7. And they tried a boot play, and that is not going to work out as Junior Nauta came in on the blitz and got their quarterback down for a 9-yard loss. And open in the end zone is going to be Roland Crouch getting in there, and the Peteytown Piranhas are going to go up 31-7 just before the end of the first half. And we're going to get an interception here. Ezekiel Byrd way down there in coverage getting that one, and he's going to return it to the 49-yard line, and we're going to take over there. And Greg Proctor is going to throw it out there to Zay Garvin. It wasn't the prettiest execution on that play, but it was effective on the touchdown, and we're going to make it 38-7. And Henry Carden just absolutely was not touched on that one as he gets the sack and forced fumble, but Notre Dame's able to pick it back up. Frank Webb trying to attempt a 50-yarder here, and Frank Webb is going to send this one up. And it is good, and it's going to be 41-7 for the Piranhas. Notre Dame was able to tack on another touchdown in the fourth quarter, but we still get this big 41-14 victory over them. Zay Garvin having a big day as usual, and just Piranhas have one more regular season game, and we'll see how that goes. The Piranhas finished with 442 yards to Notre Dame's 277, and we had 87 yards rushing and a touchdown, while they had 2 and a touchdown. And the passing games were both pretty effective. We had 355 and they had 275. And on third down we were 5 for 9 and they were 4 for 12. And for turnovers we had none and Notre Dame had 1. Greg Proctor with a scintillating performance here as he had 355 yards, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, and he was sacked no times. Javier Culp had 11 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. Zay Garvin, 16 catches, 193 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Roland Crouch had 9 for 79 and a touchdown. Warren Newcomb led us with 7 tackles and 2 for a loss. For sacks, we got 1 each from Junior Nauta, Assad Barmore, Casey O'Neill, Henry Carden, and Chip Genus. And then half a sack each for Ezekiel Byrd and Tremaine Wolfe. And of all people, Ezekiel Byrd got our only interception in this one. Henry Carden was able to force a fumble, but it was not recovered. Frank Webb was 2 for 2 with a long of 52. Zay Garvin was rewarded with the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, and Zay was also the National Offensive Player of the Week. For our final regular season game, Tevin Brom is going to come on a visit, and Clemson's right on our tail, so we do need this to be a successful visit for us. And then Broderick Bobo, Texas, not really challenging. And then Roland Sheed, again, nobody challenging. And Delonte Metcalf got a nice boost from his double soft sell, and now he's on a hard sell. Looking at the Big Ten standings as we head into our final game, below us is Michigan, and they're also undefeated. And then you got USC, who we beat earlier on this season, who still has a chance, but they got to hope for a Michigan loss, but we'll see how everything breaks out. To close out the season, we're going to be hosting Michigan State, who's a 92 overall, but they're only 3-8 on the year, so definitely underachieving. And we're going to see if we can finish off our regular season the right way. Michigan State is going to make that field goal, and it's going to be a 3-0 ball game.
On 3rd and long, try to convert through the air.
And Michigan State is going to get this pick, trying to throw an out route there, and they are going to get a little return out of it, but not very much. But they have possession of the ball, and that's what matters. And we're going to get a sack here. A few Piranhas in on that one. Looks like it was Chip Genus getting in there first for the sack. Another field goal attempt here for Michigan State, a 52-yarder. And their kicker is going to put this one up, and it is through the right upright, and Michigan State has a 6-0 lead. And Greg Proctor is going to get caught from behind here on the sack, just standing still as a statue. Must have been some pretty good coverage by Michigan State. Frank Webb asked to come on here for the field goal attempt, and Frank is going to kick this one up, and it is good, so we'll cut into the deficit a little bit as it's 6-3. And we're going to get a sack. It's a forced fumble, and we're going to pick it up, and Henry Carden is going to scoop it up, and Henry Carden is going to score the touchdown for the Peteytown Piranhas, and we're going to take the lead at 10-6. Huge play by the defense on a day where our offense is having some struggles out there, and we are going to go up, and it's 2:17 remaining in the first half. It's going to be Casey O'Neill is the one who jarred it loose on the sack. Henry Carden chasing him down, and Henry Carden is going to get him down. A big loss there.
To the air on 2nd down.
And a big blitz from Michigan State is going to result in a sack here as they're really pushing us back on this drive.
They'll start this drive with a pass.
And we're going to get a sack. It's Nick Warrior getting there first, and then cleaned up by, looks like, Warren Newcomb on a 7-yard loss.
Don't sleep well as a quarterback the night before you have to play against the...
And a pick here for the Piranhas. Time is going to run out, so nothing will come of it with points, but nice interception nonetheless by the Piranhas. Couldn't really tell who it was. I think it was Warren Newcomb. And just absolutely no resistance from the offensive line there as Henry Carden is in again, and he has had a huge game thus far.
They didn't want to get down on the scoreboard like this, and all of a sudden...
And the quarterback is not going to get away here as it's going to be a sack from Ezekiel Bird.
On 3rd and long, he's going to have to throw for it.
Deep ball, and it is going to be caught by Salisi Tavasu in the end zone. He beat that man out there. Not a good idea to leave him one-on-one with somebody. He's got great speed, and we are going to get it to 17-6. Beautiful pass from Greg Proctor as well, right in the bucket. And blitz finally gets home as our guys get free. Just a host of Piranhas in on that one, with Tremaine Wolfe being the headliner. And Henry Carden yet again getting in there for a sack, and he's joined by Tremaine Wolfe. 4th and inches, I personally would have gone for it, but Petey Previte thinks otherwise as he's going to send out Frank Webb. And Frank is going to put this one up and make it a 2-touchdown game at 20-6. It's a 4th down and 1 situation, and we're going to get back there and stop them for a loss thanks to Warren Newcomb. And we're going to get a touchdown here. It's going to be Stephen Bakhtiari as two guys try to keep him out, and he did not want to be denied there. Zay Garvin a little banged up, so Stephen got a little chance to show what he can do, and show us he did on that touchdown to put us up 27-6.
Looking to throw on 1st down. field.
And Michigan State's receiver is breaking free here, and he is going to score on a long touchdown. Just beat Zach Ball on a post route, and then he took it the other way across the field, and it's going to be 27-13.
On 3rd and long, he has to throw for it. Fires to the wideout.
And Roland Crouch is running down the numbers, and Roland is going to get into the end zone here. Caught that in front of the defender and just ran right around him. And we're going to reestablish a 3-score lead at 34-13.
Couldn't connect on 1st down.
And we're going to get a blitz here. Warren Newcomb is going to get back there for the sack. Piranhas are able to get the ball back, and Greg Proctor is going to go into the QB kneel formation to run out the rest of this clock. And the Peteytown Piranhas are going to finish this regular season with a 34-13 victory over Michigan State. Faced a little adversity to begin this one, but we responded very, very well, so happy to see that from the Piranhas. And now we're going to wait to see who we're going to face in the conference championship game. We ended up with 350 yards in this one to Michigan State's 226, and they had negative 20 yards rushing while we only had 17, so not exactly a productive day for the running games for both teams. Then for passing, they had 246 to our 333. They were 4 of 12 on 3rd down while we were 10 for 15. And for turnovers, we won that battle 2-1. Greg Proctor with 333 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he was sacked twice. Javier Culp got a little banged up during the game, so Lee Prince was out there and he had 9 carries for 27 yards. For receiving, Roland Crouch was a big factor as he had 8 catches, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Salisi Tavasu had 6 for 90 in that long touchdown. And Zay Garvin got a little banged up, but not before he had 12 catches for 76 yards. And Stephen Bakhtiari, huge in this one, 2 catches for 29 yards and a nice touchdown in the place of Zay. Warren Newcomb had 10 tackles in this one to lead us, with 3 for a loss. Henry Carden had 3 sacks and was a terror all game long, and Warren Newcomb had 2 sacks, as well as Tremaine Wolfe, then 1.5 for Casey O'Neill, 1 for Nick Warrior, then half a sack each for Ezekiel Bird and Chip Genus. I guessed that it was Warren who got our interception, and I turned out to be right. Casey O'Neill got that big force fumble that was recovered by Henry Carden, and he returned it 35 yards for a touchdown, and that helped spark us when we were facing little troubles to start the game. Frank Webb was 2 for 2 on field goals with a long of 51. Another commit here for the Peteytown Piranhas, as center Tevin Brom will be joining us. And another center with Broderick Bobo. It will indeed be the Michigan Wolverines in the Big Ten Championship, as it looks to be a matchup between number 1 and number 2. Little interesting note before we head into the conference championship game, Zay Garvin still maintaining his top spot in the Heisman Trophy race, but Michigan has their quarterback Tavita Teo in it as well, so a couple of Heisman contenders going for the Big Ten Championship. Michigan also comes into this game undefeated with their 99 team overall, and it's number 1 versus number 2, and it should be a classic because they usually never give us an easy game, so we'll see what happens in this one. After stopping us on the first possession of the game, Michigan has gotten it into field goal range here for their kicker, and he is going to send this one up, and it is going to be good, so Michigan's on the board first to make it 3-0.
On 1st and 10, they'll look to throw it.
And Javier Culp is left wide open on the orbit motion play here in the red zone fringe area, and the Peteytown Piranhas are going to take the 7-3 lead.
Back to pass. It's Proctor.
Greg Proctor is getting pressured, and Greg Proctor is going down on that sack. After the sack, we're here in the second quarter now, and Frank Webb is going to be attempting a field goal, and Frank is putting it up and putting it through to make it a touchdown deficit at 10-3. Zay Garvin getting this one, and Zay Garvin is in the end zone, and we're going to make it a very nice 17-3 lead here. At the 2-minute warning, Michigan's got to do a field goal attempt here after trying to go for it on 4th down but committing a holding penalty. And that kick is going to be good, and Michigan's going to make it 17-6.
From the shotgun, drops back.
Greg Proctor trying to run away, but he will not as he is sacked again.
Last play. We'll take a timeout or they check him out. Looking to scramble.
And their quarterback tried to escape, but he couldn't find any room, and Chip Genus is going to close the door on that for the sack.
Quarterback in the shotgun here on 3rd down.
And Javier Culp is going to get this reception and get it into the end zone. Nice job by the Piranhas. And we're going to go up 24-6.
Keep the drive going, or a deep shot to the left side.
And we're running step for step with him, and we're going to get the interception. Zach Ball just high-balling that one, and a little return afterwards, but great job by Zach on the coverage.
Back to throw. It's Proctor.
And there's going to be a forced fumble here. Michigan is going to pick it up, and they are going to return this one for a touchdown. Great pressure by them, and they are going to close the gap a little bit here as they're going to make it 24-13. And they're going to get an interception here. Greg Proctor trying to throw it, but it bounces off a helmet and right into their hands. And now Michigan is really threatening to make this a game off of a very, very unfortunate for us and very lucky for them interception.
And an interception. Let's see if they can get it going here. Pressure is coming.
Firing it to the end zone, and we're going to get an interception. Zach Ball is going to take that one and take the ball right back from Michigan after that unfortunate interception by us. This one is way more pure and more of an athletic achievement, I think. And we are going to get the ball back and get it on their 20 because it happened in the end zone. On our 20, excuse me.
Drops back from the shotgun, looking for an open man.
And Zay Garvin on the crosser is going to get into the end zone for the Peteytown Piranhas, and it's going to be 31-13 after just a crazy sequence of interceptions by both teams. We're able to stabilize and make it a 3-score game once again.
Drops back, needing a third down completion here.
We're going to get the interception here. Kane McCarthy gets under that route and picks it off, and we have it at their 34-yard line.
They're thinking about touchdown, of course. Deep shot toward the end zone.
And Emmanuel Sambrelo is going to catch this deep ball from Greg Proctor right in front of their defender, and Emmanuel Sambrelo is going to have the touchdown here to make it 38-13.
Looking to pick up the first down through the air. Looking for a man deep down the left side.
Trying it deep, and it is not going to work out as Zach Ball's got another one, his third of the game. They try to test him deep there, and he just had an over-the-shoulder catch that was just beautiful, and we're going to turn him over again.
Fourth down. He's throwing for it. The pocket breaking down.
And Michigan's quarterback is going to score on a scramble here to end the game, and they are going to get this extra point to go through, but it's all just for show at this point. And that is going to provide the final score of 38-20 in this Big Ten championship game. The Peteytown Piranhas winning their 5th Big Ten title in a row, and just an absolutely great effort here. The defense just Zach Ball with a tremendous game for us, and the offense doing their thing. Little hairy there with a couple of turnovers where Michigan was threatening to come back, but defense put the clamps on that, and just really happy for the Peteytown Piranhas and all they've accomplished so far this season. As you see, Greg Proctor throwing that one to Emmanuel Sambrelo on what was a fantastic play. And I just want to see us celebrating with the Big Ten trophy, and there it is as we get to enjoy that until we get to the playoff where we got to take care of some business. The Piranhas had 424 yards of offense to Michigan's 270, and they had 92 yards rushing and a touchdown, while we only had 24. And then for passing, we had 400 yards to Michigan's 178. They were 2 of 12 on third down, while we were 5 for 9. And for the turnovers, they had 4, and we had 2. Greg Proctor with a real roller coaster of a day as he had 400 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and a really unfortunate bounce on the interception. And he was sacked 3 times, and also one was a forced fumble that unfortunately they returned for a touchdown, but thankfully we were able to right the ship. Javier Culp finished the day with 12 carries and 43 yards. A real Heisman Trophy-worthy performance here for Zay Garvin as he had 17 catches, 202 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Salisi Tavasu had 6 for 68. Javier Culp had 4 for 45 and 2 receiving touchdowns. And Emmanuel Sambrelo had 4 for 41 and a touchdown. Cesar Mingo ended up leading us in tackles with 8. Chip Genis had our only sack in this ball game. Cannot understate the impact Zach Ball had in this game, just all over the field, making big plays for us, especially that one in the end zone that prevented Michigan from scoring after they took it away from us. Just huge day all around for Zach, and Kane McCarthy got one as well. And Frank Webb hit his only kick of the day, a 32-yarder. Roland Sheed liked what he saw in that Big Ten championship game and decided to become a Piranha. And 5-star Mike linebacker Delonte Metcalf is also going to be a Piranha. Zay Garvin was recognized as the offensive player of the game in the Big Ten championship, of course. Across all of the conference championships, Zay Garvin was deemed to have the best offensive day. Zay Garvin is the Walter Camp Award winner this year. Zay is also the Maxwell Award winner. And for the second time in Peteytown Piranhas history, we have a Heisman Trophy winner as Zay Garvin takes it home. Just a wonderful accomplishment for him. Tremaine Wolfe is the Defensive End of the Year award winner. Tremaine has also won the Bronco Nagurski Trophy. Naturally, Zay is the John Mackey Award winner. Zach Ball is your Jim Thorpe Award winner for this season. Tremaine also took home the Lombardi Award. Petey Previte has leveled up once again, and now that we have 34 points, we have enough to unlock Program Builder, so that's what I'm going to do here now. A lot of dev traits to go through now in early National Signing Day. Trent Blanco is Impact Dev, then Rocky Long is a star. Nick Melendez is Elite, so love that for our future. Jamichael Heggie is a star, and Marquise Naylor is star as well. Otis Moody is a star, so a lot of stars. Impact for Darren Lampman, so a little back down to earth there. And Danny Fattencoon is Impact. Isaac Priestley is a star, so the defensive backfield is really set up for the future. Right edge Quinn Balkasoon is an Impact Dev. And Delonte Metcalf, who we just got, is a star dev, so good get there. Pat Gainwell is Elite, so love that. And Will linebacker Josh Vaccaro is a star. Kari Gentile, right guard, is Impact. Wide receiver Kevin Shakir is Elite, so really love that for us. And then Emmett Baggett is normal, so first normal guy. Defensive tackle George Machado is normal. And then Kamani Wiley is normal, so a little run of normals. Defensive tackle Jimmy Wyndham is a star. Then right tackle Alex John is Elite, so another Elite dev. Tevin Braham is Impact. Then Broderick Bobo is Impact, so a couple of Impact centers. Then Mike linebacker Roland Sheed is normal. And finally tight end Carter Burns is Impact. So very pleased with what we've done with this class. The college football playoff bracket is looking like this. You got 5 seed USC facing Colorado State, then Alabama Ole Miss. Number 6 Clemson will face off against number 11 Oklahoma State, and Pitt will be taking on Oklahoma. Then your top 4 seeds are us at number 1, Texas number 2, Miami number 3, and Michigan number 4. So we're just awaiting the winner of Alabama Ole Miss on a little SEC tour here. And Ole Miss has taken down Alabama, so they will be our opponent in the quarterfinal. In the first round of the playoff, USC took care of business against Colorado State. Then Ole Miss won against Alabama in a one-possession game. Clemson and Oklahoma State was close, but Clemson came out on top. And then Pitt beat Oklahoma by a field goal. So that's going to set up matchups with Michigan and USC on our side of the bracket. Us and Ole Miss, of course. Then Miami and Clemson will take on each other, and Texas and Pitt. Ole Miss comes into this one with an 11-2 record with an 89 team overall, and we are going to be traveling back to the Rose Bowl, a very familiar place for the Peteytown Piranhas. And Roland Crouch is going to make a shifty little move there on the juke after a broken tackle, and Roland Crouch is going to put us up 7-0. And we're going to fight through. Henry Carden just pushing back until he finally got to the quarterback there. And Ezekiel Bird is chasing him down, and he's going to get the sack here. And this is going to be an interception for Ole Miss, trying to go deep here, and they are going to get the return back to the 30, so Ole Miss with a chance to capture some momentum. After the interception, the defense is actually able to push Ole Miss back a little bit, and they're going to be here with a field goal attempt, and the kick is going to go through, and it's going to be 7-3.
Quarterback looking to throw it on second down.
And Greg Proctor is going to be sacked here as our play got a little jumbled up there, and Greg had nowhere to go but go down.
Now on 3rd and very long, looking to throw.
And Zay Garvin is going to get here on the out route. Are they going to get him before he gets in? No, they are not, as Zay Garvin makes a huge play there. Nice throw from Greg Proctor on the out route, and Zay Garvin was able to take care of the rest as he got around the defender, and it's going to be 14-3. Blitz here by the Piranhas is going to work out for us as Nick Warrior gets free to bring him down.
And he drops back in the gun.
Greg Proctor is going to face a lot of pressure here, and it gets home for another sack in this game for Ole Miss.
Quarterback drops back. We're going to test the secondary.
And we're going to get in here. Adrian Grudadaria gets a little help from Raleek Thompson on the push-in for the touchdown here. And Adrian's in there as Javier Culp's dealing with a little wear and tear, but he's able to take advantage of it with a receiving touchdown here. And we're going to go up 21-3. We're going to get a pick here as Josh Linder is able to undercut that one, and that quarterback looked like he threw an accurate ball, but Josh Linder was just better on that one, and he's going to get it back to their 22-yard line. Zay Garvin is going to get free, and the Heisman Trophy winner is in the end zone again in this game, and that's going to make it 28-3 for the Piranhas. And blitz here for the Piranhas is going to work beautifully as Warren Newcomb gets in there for the sack. And Lee Prince is going to get this one up the middle, and a bunch of guys try to keep him out, but Lee would not be denied on that one, and it's 35-3.
He's looking to throw.
And that's going to be intercepted. Warren Newcomb is going to get this one, and down the hash marks he goes as he is going to score on a pick six. Warren Newcomb with some great coverage there. And the Peteytown Piranhas are going to take the 42-3 lead over the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss added a couple of late scores to make it look a little bit closer than it was as we win 45-20 over them. Just a great job by the Piranhas coming into this playoff and taking care of business. 367 yards for the Piranhas here as Ole Miss got 253, and they had 46 yards on the ground and a touchdown while we had 71 and a touchdown. Then through the air they had 207 and we had 296. They were 6 of 14 on third down while we were 7 for 10, and in the turnover department they had 2 and we had 1. Greg Proctor had 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick, and he was sacked twice. Bit of limited action for Javier Culp, but he still led us in rushing with 8 carries and 30 yards, and Lee Prince had 2 for 16 and a touchdown. Our Heisman guy really showed up in this one with 9 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and Roland Crouch had 7 for 78 and a touchdown, and Adrian Grudadaria added a touchdown catch. Josh Linder was making plays out there with 8 tackles and 3 behind the line. We got 1 sack each from Warren Newcomb, Nick Warrior, Ezekiel Bird, Salisi Hwang, and Henry Carden. 2 picks in this game as Warren Newcomb got one that he returned 52 yards for a touchdown, and Josh Linder got the other one. 1 forced fumble today as Salisi Hwang got that with the backups, but nobody recovered it. And Frank Webb hit his only field goal of the day, a 31-yarder. In the quarterfinal round, Warren Newcomb was the Defensive Player of the Week. It will be a rematch of the Big Ten Championship game in the semifinal as we take on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan really took it to USC in that quarterfinal as they got a 45-17 victory, and then Clemson just outlasted Miami in a shootout, and Texas was able to beat Pitt, so it'll be Texas and Clemson on the other side while we take on Michigan. Michigan is going to have revenge on their minds in this game, so we got to make sure we weather the storm and take care of business. And they also dropped down to a 94 overall, so just a fun little quirk of college football 26 there.
Quarterback drops back from the shotgun, looking for a receiver.
Zay Garvin getting free, and Zay Garvin a familiar sight in the end zone for the Peteytown Piranhas, and we're going to get a 7-0 lead.
Looking to throw it on first down.
And that's going to be an interception by Greg Proctor trying to hit Javier Culp on the angle route, but that man is going to jump it. Just not really a good decision by Greg there. That was pretty covered up.
You snap it, quarterback looking to throw the ball.
Another interception here by Michigan in the red zone, and they are going to return it out to the 21-yard line. Just can't have that by our guy, Greg Proctor.
Here's the snap, looking to throw.
And this is going to be a strike into the end zone through some traffic. It's going to be Emmanuel Sambrelo making that catch. And this time we get into the red zone and execute with a touchdown. And it's going to be 14-0 for the Piranhas.
Looking to pick up the first down through the air.
We're going to get a sack here. Nick Warrior is going to be the one to get him down.
Play action here on first down.
We're going to get an interception here. Warren Newcomb undercuts that pass, and he's going to return it into their red zone at the 14-yard line. Warren Newcomb just always making plays for us, and we are going to be set up very nicely.
For three. To throw, it's Proctor.
Greg Proctor going to take off on the scramble, and the lane opens up for him to take it in for the touchdown, and we're going to take advantage of that Warren Newcomb interception to go up 21-0.
Comes a first down pass attempt.
And we're going to get a sack here. Casey O'Neill dropping him for a 7-yard loss.
There's the handoff.
And Javier Culp is going to get this power O play and take it to the house, and we're going to go up 28-0. Great job by Javier and the blockers.
Going to pick up the third and short through the air.
And it's going to be intercepted down there by Zach Ball, our Jim Thorpe Award winner, and he shows why he won that award. Fantastic deep coverage there.
They'll run it out of the shotgun.
Javier Culp is going to get another touchdown here. Blocking held up very nicely, and Javier Culp just bobbed and weaved his way through, and it's going to be 35-0 for the Peteytown Piranhas. Michigan gets a late score, but it is a 35-7 victory for the Peteytown Piranhas in this semifinal, and we are headed back to the national championship to try to make some history, and I'm just really proud of this team for all they've done this season, but got one more to go, and hopefully we can do it and put our names in the history books. Zay Garvin making a little personal history as he now has the national single-season receptions record. On offense, the Piranhas had 491 yards to Michigan's 236, and we exploded in the run game with 247 yards and 3 scores, especially after a few weeks where the run game has been a little down. Nice to see us have some success there. And Michigan had 35 yards on the ground. For passing, they had 201 and we had 244. They were 7 of 14 on third down while we were 7 for 9. And for the turnovers, we both had 2. Greg Proctor was just okay today as he had 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, and those 2 red zone interceptions, which thankfully didn't come back to bite us, and he was not sacked. Incredible day here for Javier Culp as he had 24 carries, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and Greg Proctor added 4 for 40 and a touchdown. Roland Crouch was very effective for us as he had 8 catches and 111 yards, while Zay Garvin had 12 for 79 and a touchdown. And down here, Emmanuel Sambrelo added a touchdown grab. Kai Hamrick led us with 8 tackles. Couple of sacks today as Nick Warrior and Casey O'Neill got them, and Warren Newcomb and Zach Ball each got an interception. It's going to be that team again as it's the Texas Longhorns versus the Peteytown Piranhas in the national championship as we're going to rematch them from earlier this year. So this season comes down to this game as we try to set some history here, trying to become the only team at any level of college football to win 6 consecutive national championships, and Petey Previte is trying to pass Nick Saban to win 8 national championships and become the winningest head coach of all time as far as national championships are concerned. And of course it's got to be against Texas, this team who we've had such fraught history with over the years, and we've played in a national championship before. We were able to win it that time, and we're trying to do it again here.
Quarterback wants to throw it on second down.
And we're going to get a sack here. Second play of the game. Chip Genus is going to get back there.
Now in third and very long, looking to throw.
And another sack here as Tremaine Wolfe just kind of ran by his man, and the quarterback couldn't escape him.
Throw the receiver, and look at this result. Some positive yards.
And it's going to be Zay Garvin getting into the end zone, only fitting here for the Heisman Trophy winner to make his mark and settle this as a 7-0 lead here. I don't really know what I was saying, settle this, but make his mark to get this lead. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just excited and nervous all at the same time with all this history and stuff, but thank you, Zay Garvin, for getting us on the board first.
Out of the gun now on 3rd down. Looking deep down the left side.
And it is going to be picked off. Zach Ball down there in the great coverage, and he's going to return it back to the 27-yard line. Zach Ball, just another interception in what's been a brilliant season for him, and we are going to take over. Frank Webb on to attempt a hash mark field goal here from 27 yards out, and Frank is going to calmly put this one through, and it's going to be 10-0 for the Piranhas. And Javier Culp is going to get by that first wave of Texas defenders, and he's going to get it into the end zone, making it 17-0 for the Piranhas.
Back to throw again.
And we're going to get a sack here. That is going to be Casey O'Neill getting back there on their quarterback. And also wanted to make a note that for Texas, their starting quarterback has some severe wear and tear damage, so they've been working with their backup in this game, and we knocked him out. Like, the quarterback wasn't injured or anything. He's not on the injury report, just the wear and tear. So we'll see how their backup does throughout this game.
Dropping back, looking to throw for the 1st down. The pass rush close.
And back-to-back sacks here for the Piranhas as Chip Genus is going to get back there to bring him down. We work it into the red zone of Texas, but stall out at the 12-yard line and set up Frank Webb. And Frank is going to put another one through here, making it 20-0.
In the 3rd and short, they'll try to throw for it. A deep shot to the right.
Deep ball is not going to work out as Devin Odrick is going to get his interception here, and a little bit of a return, but Devin Odrick and Zach Ball trying to go deep on them is really never a good idea, and Devin's going to make him pay here. After the interception, the offense drives it to the Texas 7, and with the final seconds here in the first half, Frank Webb is lining up a field goal, and he's got another one in this game as we're going to make it 23-0. Another Frank Webb sighting here as he's going to try a 45-yard field goal, and Frank is going to put that one through as well as we're going to extend it to 26-0. Greg Proctor going to take this one himself, and Greg Proctor is going to muscle his way into the end zone, and the Peteytown Piranhas will extend this one 33-0.
Easy choice. Here we go on 4th down.
And Texas is finally going to get on the board here on a well-executed run. Good blocks, and I think we kind of over-pursued on some of our angles there. But Texas is going to make it 33-7.
2nd down. Shotgun formation. Here's an inside give. Spinning out of the tackle. A quick juke to get. Refusing.
And Lee Prince just absolutely putting in work on this run, and he is going to get a long touchdown run, breaking so many tackles, showing that physicality, and then breaking away at the end to go up 40-7.
Throwing up play action.
And Henry Carden is going to make his presence felt here on the sack for a 6-yard loss. It's another Frank Webb sighting here as he's on for another field goal attempt. Frank is going to put it up, and it is good, and we're going to make it 43-7.
Out of the gun now on 3rd down. Looking for a late deep throw.
And guess who? Zach Ball is going to get another interception there on a jump ball. Just absolutely no space for that receiver and for the quarterback to get that throw in, and that is going to pretty much put the exclamation point on this one.
They'll hand it off. Fights through the tackler. Gets into space at the 50.
Javier Culp one more time is going to run into the end zone here down the numbers, so thought Zach Ball was going to be the exclamation point, but Javier Culp said, no, I think that would be me, thank you very much, and that's going to make it 50-7. And the clock has expired on this national championship, It is history for the Peteytown Piranhas, 6 consecutive national championships. Nobody has ever done that before. Petey Previte with his 8th to pass Nick Saban, and we do it in absolutely dominant fashion here, 50-7 for the Peteytown Piranhas. Gotta imagine Texas is disappointed that their starting quarterback couldn't play really in this game and they had to go with their backup, but we will not make any excuses for them. Petey Previte lifting that trophy for the 8th time, and just absolutely incredibly proud of this team. And even without their starting quarterback, I mean, we beat them earlier in the year with him, so just doing it here without him, and just nobody was stopping our offense today either, so really just absolutely incredible accomplishments here for the Peteytown Piranhas, Petey Previte, and all the boys on the team. With those interceptions in the national championship, Zach Ball now has the Peteytown single-season interceptions record. And not only does Zach Ball have the Peteytown record, he also has the Big Ten single-season interceptions record. Zay Garvin has set the national single-season receiving touchdowns record, taking that one from Max Martino. The numbers tell the story of the dominance for the Peteytown Piranhas in this national championship. We had 625 yards to Texas's 181, and we had 244 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, and they had 14 and a touchdown. And then for passing, we had 381 to 167 for Texas. They did not convert a single third down as they were 0 for 11, and we were 8 for 12. And then for turnovers, they had 3 and we had 0. Greg Proctor leaves us on a very high note here in his last game, as he had 381 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and he wasn't sacked. Javier Culp finishes his career with a very nice day as well, as he had 13 carries, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Lee Prince came in for him when Javier was a little banged up in the middle of the game, and he had 8 carries, 99 yards, and that scintillating touchdown run. And Greg Proctor added a touchdown carry to get 2 total touchdowns on the day. Zay Garvin with a brilliant performance to end his Heisman Trophy winning campaign year, as he had 16 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown. And Emmanuel Sambrelo had 6 for 78, Salisi Tavasu had 4 for 62, and Roland Crouch 6 for 40. And for Salisi and Emmanuel, they will also be leaving us, so just very nice performances from them as well. Warren Newcomb had 10 tackles in this one to lead us. 5 sacks in this ball game for the defense, as Chip Genus got 2, and we got 1 each for Tremaine Wolfe, Casey O'Neill, and Henry Carden. In his last game with us, Zach Ball had 2 interceptions, while Devin Odrick got 1. How about our guy Frank Webb today? He was 5 for 5 on field goals with a long of 45. Zach Ball was recognized as the player of the game on defense for the national championship, and Zay Garvin was the offensive player of the game. I gotta point this out because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but in this weekly advanced summary, we see that our championship contender is at a B. Like, we've won 6 consecutive national championships. We just went undefeated and won another one, and it's at a B, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Like, our roster is loaded with 4 and 5 stars, maybe. We got a number of 3 stars, maybe that's bringing it down, but it truly just makes no sense. With Petey Previte's latest upgrade, I'm going to leave the CEO tab for a little bit and work on our program builder. And the first thing in program builder I'm going to do is go to tier 1 in relationship builder. For our season stats, Greg Proctor finished this one with 4,674 yards, 58 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Javier Culp had 205 carries, 1,363 yards, and 11 touchdowns, and Greg Proctor added 120 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns to bring his season total to 64 total touchdowns. In the receiving game, Zay Garvin finished this year with 200 catches, which is just absolutely mind-boggling, and he had 1,979 yards and 28 touchdowns. Then Roland Crouch had 73 catches, 920 yards, and 11 touchdowns. And Salisi Tavasu, 48 for 509 and 5 touchdowns. And out of the backfield, Javier Culp, 47 catches, 485 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Warren Newcomb broke the 100 tackle barrier as he had 103. And then for TFLs, we had Tremaine Wolfe lead us with 32, Ezekiel Bird with 27, Warren, of course, and then Henry Carden had 18. For sacks, we had 4 guys in double figures as Tremaine Wolfe led us with 16. Then you got 12 each for Ezekiel Bird, Henry Carden, and Casey O'Neill. For interceptions, you have Zach Ball with an outstanding 12, then Warren Newcomb behind him with 7, Devin Odrick with 6, then 4 each for Luis Moe, Kane McCarthy, and Josh Linder, then 2 each for Kai Hamrick, Cesar Mingo, George Boozer, J.D. LaRoque, and Junior Nauta. Piranhas were able to score an insane 13 defensive touchdowns as Warren Newcomb and Kane McCarthy each had 2. Then you had 1 each for Devin Odrick, Josh Linder, Cesar Mingo, George Boozer, J.D. LaRoque, Ezekiel Bird, Keenan LeCount, Skylar DeMarco, and Henry Carden. Our interception leader, Zach Ball, also led us with 12 pass deflections. For forced fumbles, Henry Carden had 3, and then 2 each for Casey O'Neill and Tremaine Wolfe, then 1 each for Warren Newcomb, Ezekiel Bird, Salisi Hwang, and Nick Warrior. Recovering some of those fumbles were Tremaine Wolfe with 3, Casey O'Neill with 2, then 1 each for Henry Carden, Ezekiel Bird, and Skylar DeMarco. Our only safety this season was recorded by Tremaine Wolfe. Frank Webb was spectacular this year with only 1 missed field goal as he made 29 of 30 with a 96% and a long of 59. He had shout-out Rolling Crouch on the kick returns with 23 for 460, and he had a kick return touchdown. Highlighting some career stats now as Greg Proctor leaves us with 9,716 yards, 108 touchdowns, and 24 interceptions. Javier Culp is going to leave with 266 carries, 1,913 yards, and 19 touchdowns, while Greg Proctor is going to leave us with 17 touchdowns. Also having to say goodbye to Zay Garvin as he had 381 career catches, 3,810 yards, and 47 touchdowns. Josh Linder is going to leave with 207 tackles, 20 for a loss, 2.5 sacks, and 8 interceptions. And then scrolling on over, he had 3 defensive touchdowns, 12 deflections, and then 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. For sacks, Casey O'Neill leaves us with 36, while Tremaine Wolfe got 31, and Nick Warrior had 22. Zach Ball ends his career with us with 18 career interceptions, while Devin Odrick got 10. 4 guys have chances to transfer here as Nick Wire, Skylar DeMarco, Luis Moe, and Glenn Hamrick are in danger. And we got Luis and Skylar really on that kind of BS championship contender one, but it is what it is. And we're going to go through and see if we can convince these guys, starting with Nick Wire. And for playing time, it has failed. Not really surprised about that one. It was kind of a little too far. Then for Skylar DeMarco on the championship contender, he also will not be returning. And Luis Moe is going to come back, thankfully. And then for Glenn Hamrick, for playing time, he has also failed. So now with those guys off the roster, maybe one of them would want to come back in the transfer portal, but we'll have to see. Got a whole bunch of stars leaving us now for the NFL and graduation, and we got to start here with Greg Proctor, our leader for 2 years. Great guy to have under center, and we will miss him very much. And Trevon Fouts, easily one of the best offensive linemen we've ever produced. And then we got Kai Hamrick, very reliable on the back end. Devin Odrick on the outside, guys really didn't want to challenge him, but when they did, they paid for it usually. And they did challenge Zach Ball this year, and they all paid very dearly for it with his big interception year. And then Josh Linder kind of in and out of the slot corner role. He was in there, then got replaced by somebody else, but when he came back into it, he was very reliable out there, and that platinum wrap-up ability was very unique, and I loved having it on him. And then we go down to Warren Newcomb, just a great leader in the middle, had a lot of interceptions this year, and kind of revived that tradition we have of linebackers being great in pass coverage. And then, of course, you got Zay Garvin, who has etched his name in the history books of legends of college football, and following in the footsteps of Max Martino, who we had to replace, he ends up winning a Heisman Trophy, so I'd say that's a pretty good replacement story. And then for Tremaine Wolfe coming off the edge, a great guy there, and Ezekiel Bird, his partner in crime. And then we got Kane McCarthy, who came in this year and helped us out a bunch. And Emmanuel Sambrelo, maybe not all the numbers you'd want, but reliable receiver out there when his number was called. And then we go down and we've got some other guys. Kevin Miner, very good for us. And Chip Genus, just great pressure up the middle on the defensive tackle spot. And Nick Warrior is also there in the middle. And Salisi Tavasu, good guy on the outside. Didn't make a lot of plays, but when we did throw it his way, he was pretty reliable. And then, of course, you got Javier Culp, who's stepped into a starting role this year and really excelled. And then Casey O'Neill, really can't forget this guy. Just a great sack man in the middle and just all-around great defensive tackle. And then that's pretty much the highlights we have, but that's just a fantastic senior class. You see all these 90 overalls here, just very, very talented. This senior class is going to go down in history as the class that got us to our 6th national championship and precedent-setting national championship, and all they knew was winning, of course, and they just kept the winning streak alive, and just an absolutely fantastic senior class full of legendary players and stars, so just gonna miss all of these guys very much. An astounding 18 Peteytown Piranhas heard their names called for the NFL draft. I believe that's got to be the most that we've ever had, and 7 of them were first-rounders, including Greg Proctor, Trevin Fouts, Warren Newcomb, Kai Hamrick, Devin Odrick, Zach Ball, and Josh Linder. And then in the second round, you had Emmanuel Sambrelo, Zay Garvin, Tremaine Wolfe, and then for the third round, it was Ezekiel Bird. Fourth rounders were Raleek Thompson and Kane McCarthy, as well as Caesar Mingo. And then for the fifth round, Dexter Eisen and Chip Genus. The sixth round representative was Kevin Miner. And then in the seventh round, you had Nick Warrior. For the transfer portal, we got 3 main positions of need, and starting with defensive tackles, Skylar DeMarco could be interested in coming back, so trying to get him. And then for Nate Weinstein, he's got very good strength at 93 and good athleticism at 82 speed, 86 acceleration, and finesse moves, he's got 91, and he's got silver takedown and silver pocket disruptor. And then for halfback, we got Channing Preston, a backfield threat. Not very good speed, but very good acceleration, so we'll see if he's interested. And then outside of him, you got Stanley Vaughn, who's an east-west playmaker with 89 speed and 93 acceleration, and 80s across the board on the moves and the carrying and break tackle, and 95 change of direction. And then finally, we got guards here with James Lorenzo, who's just a very well-rounded guy as an agile guy, so that's pretty good combo there, and he's got good abilities. And then for PJ Clinton, he's a well-rounded guy, but he's very heavily skewed towards pass blocking right now. Things not coming easy right now in the transfer portal as Skylar DeMarco is behind on Penn State. We got him on a week 3 visit. And then for Stanley Vaughn, just behind Ohio State, he's on a week 3 as well. Then joining Stanley on the week 3 for trying to boost them is James Lorenzo, and he's just behind Miami. Then moving on to week 4 visits, we got Nate Weinstein also behind on Penn State. And then Channing Preston is here just behind Alabama. And PJ Clinton trying to combine those guys as he's on a week 4 visit, but very close battle here, so it's anyone's game for him. Unfortunately, Skylar DeMarco has chosen Penn State, but mostly I blame that championship contender seems to be a little bugged in the game, but it is what it is. For Stanley Vaughn, he's in a tight battle now when we got him on this visit this week. And then James Lorenzo, he's behind Miami and Michigan, so we'll see if the visit and a double soft sell can help him. Then for Nate Weinstein, kind of in a Hail Mary mode, I'm just trying to see if the clutch is his sell, because that's really the only way we can see if it's his. That could be, I think, one other thing, but if it's not this, basically, we're done. And then for Channing Preston, he's in second place, and he's got a visit next week, but still a tight battle here, and we got him on a double soft sell. And then for PJ Clinton, he's shot into first place with that hard sell, and I think with the week 4 visit, we're pretty protected on him. And PJ Clinton has joined the Peteytown Piranhas, so no week 4 visit necessary for him. Penn State has stolen another defensive tackle from us in Nate Weinstein, so we got to look in a different direction. But for the rest of the guys, Stanley Vaughn is in first place in a recruiting battle with Ohio State, and James Lorenzo is in another recruiting battle, this one with Miami. And then for Channing Preston, he should be able to commit to us now. And we got Nate Reinhardt, a defensive tackle, a high schooler, and I kind of just looked at him because nobody else was offering, and we got the Tier 5 pipeline, so should be able to fill in our depth chart of defensive tackle with him. We're going to welcome halfback Stanley Vaughn into the Peteytown Piranha family, and Channing Preston will also be joining our halfback room. Left guard James Lorenzo will be joining us to block for those two running backs we just got. And Nate Reinhardt will help us fill out the defensive tackle depth chart. As for the depth traits on the guys we got in the transfer portal, PJ Clinton is a normal dev, which I'm pretty surprised by, but it is what it is. And then for Stanley Vaughn, he's also normal. That's a little more believable. Then James Lorenzo is a star, so that's very nice to have. Then Channing Preston is impact. And then Nate Reinhardt is impact, so not too bad for the transfer portal. And then we look over at the top classes for this year, and the Peteytown Piranhas are easily the #1 class on the strength of those 11 5-stars that we signed. We got 16 4-stars and 2 3-stars. All in all, for our recruiting class, we ended up with 4 elite devs and 9 star devs. Demetrius Telford, our redshirt sophomore elite dev QB, has taken the leap to be our best option at quarterback, and he's at 88 overall, 90 with tactician boost. And we got him there by getting his accuracy to a pretty decent spot. Still need to work on his deep throw accuracy. And for his throw power, he's at 95. Elusiveness had already hit its cap, and his quickness is up to 85 speed, 89 acceleration. And for his abilities, he's got gold downhill, bronze extender, and silver mobile resistance. Adrian Grudadaria has now become an 89 overall, 91 with tactician boost, and we got him there by getting his quickness to its cap at 94 speed, 92 acceleration. Then his elusiveness has hit its cap as well, with a highlight being 99 agility. And then we got his IQ to its cap. And then for his abilities, we got him to silver shifty and silver sidestep. Rolling Crouch is now a 97 overall, 98 with tactician boost, and for him, he got his quickness to its cap at 98 speed, 96 acceleration. His hands have reached its cap with 92 catching. He's also got 97 carrying, and his route running has hit its cap, and his elusiveness has hit its cap as well, just incredibly elusive out of the receiver position, so really excited to see what he can do with all that. And then for his abilities, he already had the Platinum Sidestep, we upgraded to Platinum Shifty, and he already had the Platinum Cutter. Sam Manapuna is our other gadget wide receiver, and he's got 95 overall, 97 with the Tactician boost, and for him he's not as fast as Rolling Crouch, but still got 90 speed and 91 acceleration, and his hands have been all the way maxed out, and his route running is at its cap and very solid here, everything over 91 at least, and his elusiveness has hit its cap as these guys are really going to be breaking tackles all over the place, I think, and his IQ is up to a very nice margin. And for his abilities, he's got gold sidestep and silver shifty, and he already had the platinum cutter. Stephen Bakhtiari will have the task of replacing Zay Garvin, and I think he's up to it. He's an 87 overall, 90 with tactician boost, and for him we got his route running to its cap, and his hands are one away from its cap, and his quickness is at its cap already, and we boosted up his blocking a little bit. And for his abilities, he's got Platinum Sure Hands. Ramon De La Rosa is our latest 99 overall player, and we got him there by maxing out his pass blocking with 99s across the board, and we made his run blocking pretty decent. His power has been maxed out, and his IQ is up to 86 awareness, 84 lead block, and his quickness is at 85 acceleration, 75 speed. And with his abilities, he's got Platinum Pocket Shield, Platinum Quick Drop, Gold Play Action Shield, and Platinum Strong Grip, as well as Silver Wear Down. Looking at our left guards, I was able to get PJ Clinton up to an 89 overall, but the real story here is that Joshua Stewart, a star dev guy that we have, He's got all these platinum abilities that we'd love to use and 115 skill points. The problem is that his championship contender grade is already in a place where we could potentially lose him, so don't really want to increase him anymore at the moment, just because I don't want it to get so far out of whack that he just decides to leave. But if I see that our championship contender grade isn't really moving the needle at all, maybe I'll update him in the during the season, and maybe he'll take over from there. But for right now, just kind of being careful and seeing if the championship contender can go up. Want to highlight Iosefa Wang here, an offensive tackle, 87 overall, 90 with tactician boost, and being he's still a junior, I'm saving his points, and he's an elite dev, so he's got a lot to use at 130, but we're going to save those for his senior season. But for now, we've worked a little bit on his run blocking, and his power was already here. And for his abilities, they're all platinum with strong grip, workhorse, second level, inside shield, and ground and pound. So next off season, we can really work on his abilities and everything. So I feel like he's going to be tremendous for this season, but especially next season. On defense, we got Edge George Simonet, a 90 overall, 92 with tactician boost, and we got him there by getting his finesse moves to 91, and his quickness was already here, and he's just going to be a super athletic freak out there, and his run stopping has hit its cap, and his IQ was boosted up a little bit, and with all that, he has platinum quick jump, gold takedown, and gold pocket disruptor. Solisi Hwang is also a 90 overall and 92 with tactician boost, and for him he's got his power moves and finesse moves at their caps, just a very good mix with 95 power and 93 finesse. Then he got his power to its cap, and his quickness has pretty much stayed the same, and his run stopping went up a little bit. And for his abilities, he's got Platinum Pocket Disruptor, Gold Duress, Bronze Grip Breaker, Bronze Workhorse, and Platinum Takedown. Henry Carden is now a 97 overall, 99 with Tactician Boost, and we got him there by getting his run stopping all the way maxed, and his finesse moves are at 95, and of course we all know about his maxing out of the quickness, and the IQ is up to 82 awareness, 88 play rec, and for his abilities he's got Platinum Quick Jump, Takedown, and Pocket Disruptor. For George Boozer, he's a 92 overall, 95 with Tactician Boost. His quickness is at its cap at 91 speed, 89 acceleration. His pass coverage is to 93 zone coverage. His run stopping has hit its cap. Then for IQ, he's up to 78 awareness, 84 play rec. And then for his abilities, he already had the Platinum Wrap Up and Silver Blow Up and Hammer. Another talented linebacker here, as we got 92 overall, 96 with Tactician Boost, Assad Barmore. And for him, we got his run stopping up to a very good margin, and his pass coverage is at 89 zone. And for his abilities, he's got Bronze Wrap Up and Gold Blow Up, as well as Silver Hammer. Continuing the trend of very talented linebackers, we got 99 overall Junior Nauta, and for him, his quickness has been maxed out already, and this time we improved his pass coverage to 93 zone, and we maxed out his run stopping. Then for IQ, he's at 81 awareness and play rec. And then for his abilities, he's got Platinum Blow Up, Platinum Wrap Up, and Bronze Hammer. Since Petey Previte got a level up, the last thing I'm going to do this offseason is get to this Tier 2 in Relationship Builder inside the Program Builder tier. This was truly an iconic season for the Peteytown Piranhas, with all the history that we were able to make and the dominance that we showed on the field. Like, the closest game we had was an 18-point deficit, so that just shows that this team was special. And really, for my money, as I was watching the team, I gotta say this has to be the best team that we've ever put on the field. Like, I keep saying that year after year, especially in the recent seasons, but with the draft that we had, with all those players that were taken, especially in the first few rounds, and that shows the talent that we had, and of course, like I said, the dominance that we showed on the field, I would really stack this team up against any in our history and any in college football history. Just an incredible group of guys, incredible season, Heisman Trophy for Zay Garvin, and I'm just looking forward to what we have in the future for the Peteytown Piranhas, and now that we've established some precedents and things with consecutive championships and all that, I'm looking forward to seeing just how special this program can be in the future years. I'll see you guys in the next video.